well, everybody's heard about the bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird.
Grown men watch this shit?
A podcast about indie wrestling.
Bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. The bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird.
Ladies and gentlemen, cabos y caballeros. Wait, I fucked that up. Remember I worked it out? What is it actually?
Damas.
Damas y caballeros. Fuck, I was embarrassed. Yeah, that was a lesson that we learned here. But welcome to the amazing, continually burning dumpster fire that is...
The international episode of Grown Men Watch This Shit. Not international, we're in the same nation. I fucked up too, Chris. God damn it. Anyway, it's Grown Men Watch This Shit, and you're here with us, and we're in the car with our buddy Jon Craft, traveling back to Los Angeles after a detour in Tijuana.
Jon Craft, the roving Mexican reporter who's not actually Mexican, took these guys down to show what I've always done and stories that I've never told on this podcast.
For reasons like, because we were so excited from shit that stories you have told on this podcast, sir.
We had to make wrestling happen. I couldn't even lie and act like that was why I was going there.
Yeah, Jon may not be Mexican, but he has been in Mexico and been more Mexicans than I ever have been.
Jesus Christ.
Operator error is what a lot of time what it comes down to with technical difficulties.
Yeah, so we attempted this the first time. This is take 2. We had a really funny joke on the first version that we're not going to allude to now, but just everyone know it was fucking great. We all had a good laugh.
It's good.
Yeah, sometimes it's fun to laugh at your friend's expense.
Sometimes.
So anyway, welcome to
Grown Men Watch This Shit.
Yes, we do.
I think we already got the intro on the last version, but at least we got me saying it this time, right?
You know, we like to mix it up every once and so often. So here we are back in the automobile, as I've said before, headed to Los Angeles, California.
California, yay! Fresh out of Tijuana.
You know, they let you get into Mexico very easy. The time it takes to get back to the country.
It was hard for us to get out.
What a bitch!
I really thought it would be that way, and then it really was.
Yeah, they almost rejected Chris's passport because he didn't have one of the important details that actually let him into our country. But they were nice enough to not make him a Mexican citizen.
Yeah, I was considering my life choices at that moment, thinking, how am I going to make a buck living in Mexico? Just.
I also, on my way back in, for the first time ever, was pulled over to secondary for inspection for some reason. And the woman that was going to be doing everything asked why I'd gone down there, and I mentioned love of Lucha Libre and wrestling, and just like all women in my life, she immediately became disinterested and did not even look through my bag and sent me on my way and said, welcome back.
So yeah, use that as a tip. If you're ever pulled over by a police officer,
just start talking about wrestling.
How much I love professional wrestling. Yeah, are you familiar with the Big Boss Man, sir? He was a professional wrestler and a police officer.
So let's talk about your love for ravishing Rick Rude right now.
He starts gyrating the hips. Actually, Chris made a mention of his travels for the fine arts of professional grappling with his guy, and some funniness happened from that. Go ahead.
Yeah, he busted my balls. He's like...
Liberally.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, so wrestling. And he's like, what? And I'm like, pro wrestling, right? Thinking, that's pretty much there, right? Yeah. Like, who doesn't know what fucking pro wrestling is? Anyway, he continues, huh? And I'm like, I'm coming from Mexico. I'm like, oh, you know, the mask stuff. And he's like, I see the eyes, like, process it. And he looks at me, like, dead in the eye. And he's like, you mean that fake stuff? Oh, and you know, like us pro wrestling fans, that's a bit of an insult, right?
Stuck it to the border patrol.
I really should have gotten hot and cut a promo on him right there.
Listen here, brother.
Let me through here, this country, I'll kick your ass.
But alas, I did not, and I just really sadly looked back at him and was like, yeah, that fake stuff.
I was awesome. Listen here, mate. I love wrestling. Big fan. Leave me that. I do it way better. Why am I fucking up so bad? It's been a long week.
No, I totally bitched out, and then he's like, the fake stuff. I'm like, yeah, the fake stuff. And then he looks at me again, and he's like, so you travel all the way from Australia to come here to watch fake wrestling. And I had a moment where I had to like kind of assess myself.
What did we say earlier off mic? Just because it's true does not make it your place to say the truth. All the
Exactly, right?
time. Be very hurtful.
We had a bit at the border where it's like, do you have anything to declare? This was one of those moments.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I guess I fucking did. I guess I drove across this
Yeah, you're an
fucking
asshole.
world for fake wrestling. No, we established in this car ride, it's not for fake wrestling. It's for the other bros in this car.
Yes.
Friendship.
Yes, indeed.
Friendship.
But also, I mean, wrestling's pretty good too. This is a wrestling podcast, I guess. But yeah, so then the kicker was, I was like, yep, like wrestling and coffee, I guess.
I feel like it'd be funny. You're like, fuck it, you got me. I have a bunch of heroin in my ass.
You love that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Damn, are you really going to make me search your asshole?
Repeatedly. No, it's down there. I promise you. Just go a little deeper.
So it's been an action-packed couple days. Well, one day,
Full of
one
heroin.
packed to the brim. In Tijuana, we were all kind of like different levels of tired, I guess. When we were going down there, we went down on very little sleep, and the traffic sucked. And then we finally get there, and it's like you're excited, but at the same time you're just like so faded. And then we
Took an hour to get a rooms. Yeah.
I think all my enthusiasm just quietly died in that waiting room when they were getting the rooms sorted.
Yeah.
But then I got a second wind, and then I was like, I'm gonna fucking
See, I'm used to
Just gonna
Tijuana
go.
being a clusterfuck. I mean, it's a beautiful clusterfuck, but it's not like the reason it's fun to watch wrestling there is it's not because everything goes right. And that's the same experience that you'll have at restaurants
Yes.
and bars and interacting with people. You get real stories, and they're very interesting, but it's like they're not all good things that happen to you. It's just...
yeah. When shit goes sideways, and then like random, crazy, amazing shit happens because of that fallout. That's like the best description of the whole of Tijuana.
It's just a whirlwind of a clusterfuck. It's a hurricane, and it's really interesting.
And like real. Like there's so many moments where I was like, this is a fucking real thing.
Real people.
Yeah,
with
we saw a real guy
struggles
get
and
really
real-
stabbed.
We saw a guy get stabbed.
Oh man, I cannot believe I was not here for this Tijuana story because I've
He
been
was-
telling everybody that never happens apparently.
Oh, man.
I mean, we didn't see the actual stabbing. We didn't see the knife go in the belly, but
No.
we saw the aftermath, and there was a lot of blood on that guy's belly.
Yeah.
Of holding the hole.
Yeah, he was definitely trying to keep his innards in, or maybe just the
Oh,
blood
God.
flow. But yeah, dude, we're walking around, checking out all the sites, bumping into interesting people, and then randomly stab dude.
Holy shit. What a great infomercial this is for the tourism industry of Tijuana.
Well, okay, they must go without. If I'm gonna mention a man getting stabbed, I must also put over the greatest drink I ever had in my life. Also took place in
Holy
Tijuana,
shit.
Mexico.
So this was on a great call from John.
on an earlier podcast.
Ooh, that might be actually that might be
Oh,
true.
what an
Historians-
Easter egg.
If
Yes.
we have any grown men watch this shit, historians that have actually taken notes, and Courtney, she does those rolling comments.
She's
making
quite
fun of us.
studious. Yeah.
Right, so she at least listened to it. Hopefully, if she's gonna make fun of us that hard. So, yeah, Courtney or any other historians, if you're listening, can you go back
Josh,
and let us
maybe
know?
Josh can go back and give it a
Josh,
listen.
Yeah. You may have like Excel spreadsheets or like anything like this, tracking reports.
We'd appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, just let us know if we talked about this drink. Anyways, go ahead. Talk about
It
alcohol.
was a delicious smoked mezcal old fashioned, and by smoked, like literally,
It was really smoked.
They
It was
came out
smoke.
with this carafe full of smoke that the smoke poured out as they poured the booze into our drink. What a fucking presentation! They actually made it an effort to come over and actually show us it being poured in the glass. So you didn't have to just
Yeah,
here's
and
my
if you
glass
sit
with
at
a
the
drink.
bar, they actually burn the mesquite wood and bottle that smoke, and then they let it sit there while they make something else for a second, and they come back to it. But
Man, we really should have
yeah.
been at that bar next time.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
to see it on fire. I'll show you on my phone sometime. I've got a video from
But
previous
this
travels.
was fucking fantastic. And then they had a amazing menu, but we decided to try one of the cheaper items. It was a steamed pork belly bun.
One of the cheaper, but still like real good items.
Oh,
you know?
and by cheaper I just mean cost effective wise. It was just
Yes.
They go
so
to Mexico and order Asian.
fucking delicious. It was Mexican pork belly.
Yeah, it was a pork belly bow, and like I've had many of those back home, but this was really good.
Yeah, I honestly I had to stand up and applaud the chef, and he bowed in kind.
Yes, that was a nice moment. But some of the best food I ate honestly, in the entire time in Tijuana, were like the fucking dollar street tacos that John put us onto.
Also, I can guarantee that is on the podcast.
Excellent.
Yes.
All
So
right.
basically, I finally took these guys to all the shit I've been talking about for a while, and they get it.
Yeah, incredible. The first street taco, when we first get out of the, after we finally get checked in, right? We're heading out the door, and we head to the place, and I'm pretty sure you put over this taco place as well on the podcast, right?
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
And
The one that's nearest the brothels is also the very best taco in the entire world.
did we just admit that we stayed in Brothel Town?
Well, I want people to be able to fight it. No. We didn't
we
stay
did.
in brothel. It's all kind of like right there in the downtown area, right? But the ones that Anthony Bourdain put over, and the ones that are really notorious are the places where a lot of these like old Americans go, right? And that's one of the things you'll find is you have big business and places that get the tourism, and that's one of the places. So it gives you a good excuse to go, check out some strip clubs or whatever.
Yeah, the
But-
coolest part to
yeah.
me was the people watching.
Yeah, it's just really interesting. You see really interesting local, poverty beggars, people that are trying to help you in any kind of way for a tip. They're not even trying to rob you. It seems sketchy because it is sketchy, but they're not trying to rob you. They just want your money in exchange. They'll like help you find a restaurant or whatever, and they act like they know people, whatever. They just want some money.
You can
It's
trust
fine.
Stony Tony, but don't
Stony
trust
Tony.
anyone else.
Yeah. Don't be, if you are looking for drugs, are you really gonna buy it for some weird dude missing a leg and like not speaking perfect English, but looking like he hadn't showered in a month, offering you drugs on the street, like walking up to you?
Wait,
that's-
wasn't there like a guy walking up to us? That's the story
Yeah.
we just heard.
yeah, we did.
That guy's actually, whatever drugs he's on, I want them. He walked up with a one leg. But
Dang.
Stony Tony, John actually put him over before we got to Mexico.
the
And
first
literally,
person.
as soon as we
Yeah,
got
but he was
Hey,
like
man.
our welcoming guide.
Yeah.
He started following us down. They're like, Tony, we just got here. We'll get back with you. But yeah, Stony Tony immediately. Actually, the one thing about the city I found amazing is how I felt so out of my element just because it was so busy and so crazy, but everyone seemed to be, just doing their thing and like making
Yeah.
it's no big deal for them. They're just fucking going about their day, and I'm here like, wow, this is fucking incredible.
Yeah,
What
just
I've
like
always-
imagining that life 24/7.
Yeah.
After we leave, like that's the fucking life.
Yeah,
What I've always said about Tijuana to different people is
that's
one
a
of the
white
things that-
privilege on my ass, so I apologize.
Yeah, and I know how this could sound, but try to hear where I'm coming from in a positive light. People in Tijuana I respect because they are honest about ripping you off. And so I give the example when you're walking down the main strip on Revolution and you see these people selling these knockoff masks that of course we all wanted to look at, we talked about for quite some time, and some of us bought.
Guilty as charged.
Guilty as charged, right? I have my own as well. But that's the thing is like that they're ripping you off on the price, but it's still a good deal for you. It's a good deal for them. They do need the money, and they're not like hiding it. And we as society are fake as shit sometimes with how we treat people, and you tell things to their face and you say another thing. Like we're all guilty of it, right? And I respect that these are just people that are like, yeah, I'm ripping you off a little bit, but you're getting a better price than you would in the States.
Yeah,
dude,
there's something so great about
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna make sure you have a good
idea.
time. I'm gonna make some money off of you, but you're gonna have a good time.
The idea of the
Entrepreneurship.
honest hustler, I
Yes.
think, is great.
The hustling comment is actually great because the entrepreneurship of everybody, hell, even the pharmacist when you're walking by, it's a regular pharmacist
Incredible.
is catcalling you to come into the pharmacy. Like, you're right, dude. I do need some fungal cream. Hang on.
Hola, amigo. Farmacia.
Pharmacia, we have Viagra, we have Cialis, we have. What do you need? We have other things.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I forgot about how great that guy was.
And that was the thing. So yeah, this guy's cat, basically they call them barkers. They try to get you to come in their bars and their restaurants, and they advertise their specials. And the pharmacy does this as well. And I walk past, and I'm like joking. Oh yeah, guys, maybe we hadn't considered. Should we get some drugs that we did not need like 5 minutes ago? And this man who looked like he'd seen some tough times was sitting on a bench, and in passing is like, well, why the hell not? So props to that guy.
Man. So I was putting over the tacos. So the tacos, we walk around the corner, and then first thing we see is this like place with these fucking dollar tacos, and they had all of the awesome shit. So they're most well known for their pork. The beef's
Pastor.
real good as well. So the pork is the pastor.
Trompo.
So I made sure to get pastor, but then also I've always been really into like the whole animal experience in terms of butchering and using all of the animal and offal and that kind of stuff. And so they had tripa. So I made sure to get that, and so I had the two coming, and I looked at the fucking big boiling pot with the tripe in there, and there's just like several fucking stomachs. There's intestines that are bubbling around, and I'm like, I don't know if I've overcommitted here. This is getting a little bit too real. This is actual intestines that I'm about to devour. And then he like took them out, he quickly chopped them up, fried them up a little bit. I'm like, all right, that's all right. And then fuck, man, I ate that bad boy. I ate it first actually, before the more socially acceptable pork. And fuck, man, that trippa like blew my mind.
To it, but it's
textures, so many interesting textures,
you ever
flavors.
eaten an organ where it's got that kind of like that metallic hint, but not to the point where you wouldn't. Yeah, you've never eaten some organ, right? Where it's got that, you know, the kind of like minerally flavor that, you know, you may not eat it every day, right? But it's still delicious in its own right. I think it looks really interesting too. It's like a corkscrew.
Yeah, it was great. We had more amazing tacos through the trip. We had some awesome beers. And the fucking coffee, man, blew my mind. I was not expecting much from Tijuana in terms of coffee, but I had some coffee from Veracruz, which was like some of the greatest coffee I've ever had in my life, like an experimental natural. That this is not a coffee podcast, so I'm not going to go too further into it. But I guess it's time we talk about some fucking wrestling.
I was about to say, it's not a Tijuana podcast either, but we definitely made it half the podcast about the beautiful, beautiful city. Dirtball that is Tijuana.
White tourist privilege, exploring the world.
I think Reseda is a little dirtball that I fell in love with. Sometimes the little dirtballs are near and dear to your heart just because there's, you know, they've seen some tough times, but they're sticking in there.
Yeah, I've always thought of Reseda as the lovable shithole that'll never leave my heart.
Yes, exactly.
It's up front about ripping you off.
Yeah.
$90, no air conditioning. We'll give you a good show though.
And cheap fucking jugs of beer that we.
Fucking miss Reseda.
Oh, I miss Reseda.
Speaking of cheap jugs, Tijuana.
Hey,
Too
zing.
easy.
Yeah. So the fucking show, we did go to fucking Battle of Los Angeles. So we've seen 2 nights of it. And then we've had our exodus to Tijuana. We're on the way back right now. Trying to get to the show. We're cutting it a little bit fine.
Yeah.
I think we maybe have to return a rental car. I don't think we're going to do that. We're going to hope that we're okay till tomorrow and get to this fucking show. But, I mean, thoughts on the first 2 nights, guys? They're almost like they feel like in the rearview mirror. I'm like, they're done.
Actually, because of Mexico and waking up early, it feels like we've done so much since we see those 2 first shows.
Yeah.
But gotta say, they're both interesting entities upon their own. Like both nights were great. I think me and Chris were a little more partial the first night just because the first half of the first show was John as well. First half of the first show was just lights out. All first 4 matches were fucking great.
It opened with a banger, which
Probably
was a unique contrast from last year. What night 1 was fantastic, but it did not.
A slow build, wasn't it?
It was a very slow build, and they opened with some bangers, man. Some of the best matches I've seen from wrestlers I have not seen much of.
Yeah, this was like the best first half show I think I've ever seen. Yeah, A-Kid and Lucky Kid was my match of the night. I think it was Jeremy's match of the night.
20 minutes. Yep. You know, 25 minutes. They went on what you'd almost expect to be a little long, except for it was just so enthralling. It was great.
Yeah, like imagine 2 not complete unknown guys. They probably watch some YouTube shit, but like for the most part, a lot of those fans probably never seen them before in their life, and they just hit it out of the fucking park. So I was like, A-Kid is going to be a fucking star. Like, he's a presence about him.
Mania week, but he was in a lot of like multi-man matches.
Yeah, we didn't really get to get a proper feeling of him, did we?
The only thing we knew about him was he had this 5-star technical masterpiece with Zach, and then he's in some multi-man shit, right? So it was really cool to be able to see him, especially in the BOLA environment where you really try to, you take that opportunity to get yourself over, right?
Yeah.
If you get over with them, you change your life as a wrestler. And, he really came out and just hit it hard. And both of them did. Lucky Kid was great as well. First time seeing him.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about so there are a few unknowns or like debuts, PWG debutantes, as you will, who really it was on them, like John was saying, to prove themselves, to get over with the fans, to try to get that "please come back" chant. And we've spoken a little bit about this previously, about the idea of the "please come back" chant, to where I remember the other year when I was there, and it was like Jonah's debut, and I was like really hoping that he'll get that "please come back" chant, and I was like nervous. And honestly, I was the first one to like fucking clap it out and get it going. Like this isn't cheating at all. But yeah, so it's almost become an expectation, we're saying now with these new guys, to where, you know, even if the crowd maybe wasn't that crazy wowed, they feel like, oh well, we kind of have to give them the "please come back." We don't even feel bad.
Yeah. It's the everybody knows everybody vibe of PWG. It's like, oh, well, we don't want to be assholes to this guy.
Sometimes
really cool.
they don't even necessarily get a second time to get that opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess Jake Atlas's debut in PWG, I guess, was poor. Like, yeah, the very first time they ever had him on the show, I guess it was a miss.
And that made a lasting impression. I was like fucking unfairly, in hindsight, burying Jake Atlas when we were watching some of his stuff earlier. And then he fucking hit it out of the park on night two. Hey.
And speaking of the "please don't come back" chant, you guys
please don't come back.
Or please don't. They did that for Sammy Guevara. Don't come back. Fucking amazing. But anyway, I didn't hear a strong "please come back" chant for my boy Artemis Spencer. Did you guys?
I think he may be the only one that didn't get one.
Oh fuck, man! Honestly, I've seen Artie do some.
Actually, I think there was a faint one.
I think I was
the Seattle people were.
I don't automatically do it just because I again, it becomes precursory that you do it at the end of a match at points, and it becomes ungenuine. It's kind of lame. But Jake Atlas definitely redeemed himself in a fucking amazing match that went
Jungle
on
Boy
forever. Like
That was the
literally
match
forever.
I was really looking forward to.
So this was probably best match of night two consensus. Was the car thing?
That was definitely the matchup I wanted to see, just because of their personal history together. Like two guys that are friends getting out there just having fun. And I wanted to see what they could do, being just kind of these mid-level, up-and-comings, not already the Pentagons of the world. And I was really expecting just to see something cool, not necessarily like a amazing wrestling match, whatever, but it ended up being great in every capacity. It was cool to watch them work together. It gave me everything I was hoping for, a little bit more.
Insane.
Yeah, it was so great. And especially for me, again, after just that day we watched, was it PWG 200?
Yeah.
And again, like getting those flashbacks to Jake's debut that wasn't stellar, and I was just like, I don't get what fucking everyone says about him, right? Like Dave Meltzer's like putting him over like insane. I'm like, I just don't get it. And then we were talking about that, and then he just goes and hits it out of the park, and that's cool. I love being proven wrong like that.
Hell yeah.
And it's just like great to see, and like someone to show so much more than you thought they were capable of. So yeah, all right. Jake Atlas is going to be a big deal.
I actually, when Chris and I were talking about it, I actually legitimately, really? I was shocked that he wasn't a fan of the guy's work, but, sometimes it takes a little bit to come around.
Yeah, and I did. And another debutante that we were talking about that did get a "please come back," Mick Moretti.
Oh, fuck.
So he's a guy that I've put over hard on this podcast before, from seeing him in person. And a dude that's just starting to break into that US scene. He's done some stuff on Beyond Wrestling on Uncharted Territory, and he's done some stuff in Denver, as John and I have discussed. And this was his big chance.
Yeah, when I met him, I had the pleasure of picking him up from the airport at Denver, and I'll be honest, I had never seen him. I only kind of heard his name, and I didn't even know where he's from. And Chris said he was great, so I was going to pay attention, and obviously got a chance to sit in traffic with him for a while. And he was telling me, he spoke confidently about his work and his talent, and he said, I feel like I'm just waiting on that big break, right? And then he got announced for BOLA, and I reached out to him. He's like, hell yeah, I'm in the BOLA, like, this is my break.
And this has been a long time coming too, because both of the previous BOLAs guys that we've all been together at, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Mick Moretti was at those shows helping out. He was sitting on the stage.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's when he had the crazy hair still.
Yeah, he I remember that one of them, he had to quickly dump under the ring to fix up the ring cables when they got a little bit fucked up. So this isn't just an overnight thing where he gets that call. This is
long time coming.
Yeah. So I thought that was extra cool.
Yeah, he definitely did a good job, and he told me he was happy with his work, and I certainly agreed. And seems very happy with just the whole experience.
He really turned it up. He showed such a different side of him, I think I was saying, than like what I'd come to expect, even from his recent work from a couple of months ago. So 100%, he's going to be back, and I'm happy for him. He's a great talent.
Yeah, a lot of huge personality and incredibly athletic and does some really unique shit. So that's one of the things you strive for in wrestling. Like a lot of people do a lot of the same shit, unfortunately, and it gets a lot of cookie cutter. But Mick Moretti is definitely an individual in a world of doppelgangers.
Yeah, it's quite one that's original in the world of professional wrestling in 2018.
Yeah.
But in his own way, he is, which is cool. Now, this is fun. So at home, when we do the show, we have a pee break gimmick where I leave and I have to go pee because I have an embarrassing bladder, as Courtney would say. Hi, Courtney. And yeah, then Jeremy just kind of like talks about shit that's around his studio apartment, I guess.
Yes.
So let's continue that gimmick. I'm going to go into a service station and piss. Take the reins, Mr. Jeremy.
Oh, man. Oh, I could say some really terrible things.
You really could. No one is listening to this.
So, yeah. I'm not really in this automobile. I'm in a rental car that John has so nice enough to set up. The one thing that about this rental car is it has some safety features. You're familiar with these things that they've added to cars, like lane departure assist, which makes you think like the car is coming out of control and trying to get itself back in the lane. And John was freaking out. He literally thought he was going into divots in the road. But no, it was the automobile taking control of itself. And I do hear a lot of people get those things disabled. Personally, I think it's fucking ridiculous. I would definitely get that shit disabled. I can stay in the lane for myself. And if you were going to be driving around and all of a sudden this lane assist takes control, doesn't that look a little bit like swerving and you're going to get pulled over and accused of a DUI? Pfft, who needs it? Not me, I'll tell you that much. Man, I can't believe I've been talking this long about the car. So we have some fine interior in this Hyundai. I don't remember what model it was, but it does have the backup assist camera, which John, again, Mr. Craft, decided not to make use of as he was backing up. And I'm like, hey, man, it's got that sweet camera for you. You should just take advantage of that little gimmick there. Makes it much easier. So anybody who gets an automobile these days, you should have that backup camera gimmick because it's fucking sweet. I get nervous doing my parallel parking. Fucking hey, man, you guys need to come back. So let's see. I see a beautiful lady with "Love Jesus" across her breasts in front of me. That's a shoot. And then we have the road we are on right now is Avery and Camino Capistrano. So if anybody wants to Google to see where we are actually speaking from at this very moment, you might even, if we're on Google Earth, you could see us right now via satellite. No, wait, no, you can't. But it's Avery and Camino Capistrano. God, I've had too much Red Bull. Hey, Courtney, are you still listening to this? Damn, I still don't see these guys. I really want to stop talking now, but I guess I will continue for the sake of this wonderful podcast. All right, here comes Chris. So this is going to be ending shortly. I think Chris has had his wee, and he's back. I legitimately did not stop talking that entire time. No, it's probably terrible.
Great content, yes. I'm sure. So I just got back. I attempted to use the service station restroom, but it was full. I'm assuming John was probably in there.
That makes sense.
We've learned John sometimes can have slow poops.
Yeah, you're gonna go pee between his legs as he's taking a shit. Just lean back a little bit, John, and let me get in there.
That would have been a great level of closeness to cap off this weekend. No, so I just bailed out and actually peed outside. Yeah.
They come into our country, they start pissing all over the place. These dirty Australians.
Yeah. Classing up the place. That's me. Woo.
All right, John's here.
Yeah, John is filling up the car. So we have fuel to get home.
It's important. It's very important. Man, what do you think? Do we need to go over any more matches on the show, or should we close up shop?
Yeah, like to paint a picture for you guys, we're like an hour away from the show. I don't know how far distance-wise we're away, but it's 3:38 in the afternoon. Show starts at 5, and we're I feel halfway between San Diego and LA.
Fucking A.
Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm worried now.
All right, well, wish us luck. Yeah, this one is going to be a close one.
Yeah. So we said kind of our favourite matches. Do you have any other kind of things that stood out that are like worth mentioning? Because we're not going to talk about them again on a next show. That'll more be a summary of the final night. But anything else that's worth talking about that you thought was interesting from those first two nights?
Like, we got to put over Jeff and Daisuke because in my opinion, until I heard about it, I wasn't knowing that I needed that in my life. But as soon as I heard about it, it was like a dream match scenario.
Yep.
And it was just two big boys slamming into each other.
You know how much we love house fights?
Oh, fucking A. It was awesome. And kind of going with that same vein is the next night there was a tag match involving Brody King and Jeff Cobb versus Daisuke and Jonathan Gresham. And holy shit, what an entertaining match.
Yes.
Brody kind of just took control of the whole thing and was talking throughout the entire thing and basically just doing a running narration of the match. And it was fucking hysterical.
I think like Gresham was one of the most entertaining parts of that match,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. When he was yelling... Daisuke kept coming in, like, trying to help suplex him.
Because like Daisuke Sekimoto does with his old tag team partner Yuji Okabayashi, they do Okabayashi goes to German suplex the guy, and then Daisuke Sekimoto then picks up Okabayashi, so they double suplex the guy. But Jonathan Gresham early in the match made sure that we were aware that he was not all about that.
Yeah, we're friends, we're partners. You don't do that to your partner.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. Really entertaining. Comedy in wrestling I always love, but especially when it's like a really great match that has it in there perfectly. Like sometimes you can get a little over the top.
That's the magic, when it can be inserted in a way where there's still like the seriousness of the match and it's not like breaking the sort of believability in the moment, but it's like pointing out the absurdness in the moment.
And mad respect to the PWG audience who like almost kind of like a Japanese crowd at points are so quiet and just watching the match
and appreciating it.
You can hear the entire dialogue. It's just fucking great.
Yeah. I also wanted to make special mention to the awesome match between Brody King and Caveman Ugg.
Oh, fuck, man. Ugg really made quite an impression. Good on the Australian boys, huh?
Yeah, I think we were saying it worked out a bit to his benefit that we didn't have Cavanario El Barbaro there to make him the second caveman in the building. He got all the focus.
Yes, sir. And I first time I ever seen him work, and I was fucking impressed. The guy is strong as an ox, and
he can move.
He can move, man. Ugg went flip.
Ugg went flip. Yeah, it's funny because like last time we were in New York, like we had that bit where we were walking past, and then there's this dude sitting on the side of the street. And I looked at him and I slowed up and I was like, and I in no way believed it was. I'm like, are you Caveman Ugg? And he was. Then we had a nice little chat.
That's fucking awesome. Imagine being in New York. Are you Imagine not being Caveman Ugg. That's that question.
That's what I was expecting was going to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, another great debut by what was his name? The new luchador.
Oh, Aramis.
Aramis.
Yeah.
Yeah, he killed it.
I really quite impressed, and dude looks super young. So I mean, as far as his build, you can't see his face. He's a fucking luchador. But and fucking Phoenix put him over as a future lucha star.
Yeah, amazing. So yeah, we'll wrap it up about now. We have our show to get to, as discussed. I hope you enjoyed our extended amount of bullshit. And let's look forward to an amazing night 3. And I'm actually going to throw now to our interview.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
I was about to say, this interview is kind of getting thrown in there without any pretense to the fact that we went to the fucking Lucha Museum.
That was like, if it wasn't for all those other awesome things we said, that would, I think probably is the highlight of fucking going to Tijuana. This place is incredible. I'm going to talk all about it with the creator, the proprietor, the man that
Curator?
makes, the curator, all of those things. He wears a lot of hats.
Yes.
Of just an amazing place that was the Museum of Mexican Wrestling in Tijuana. So I'll throw over to that one. I believe I'm going to tag out to myself, who conducted that interview. All right, thanks guys. Bye. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we have a solo adventure of Chris of Grown Men Watch This Shit, and I am delighted to be in Tijuana, Mexico, today at the Museum of Mexican Wrestling. How do I pronounce this?
It's Mullme, which basically in Spanish would be Museo Lucha Libre Mexicana, or the way it would be read in English is Mexican Lucha Libre Museum.
Wonderful, and that is the famed Zorell, who is our guide today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to be on the podcast of the more independent wrestling is our speciality. But I mean, everyone that listens to this show knows how much I love Lucha Libre. So this is a very special time for me to be in this amazing place that you've put together. So could you please tell our listeners a little bit about how this came together, the collection, and for people that hopefully can make it here themselves one day?
Okay, well, for starters, the collection is one person's collection. It's over 6,900 pieces, if you will. It starts from figurines, masks, gears, championship belts, trophies, as you can see, books, comic books, keychains, a small mask, hats, figures like piggy banks, but luchadores. One person's collection. He was 8 years old when he was introduced to Lucha Libre. He fell in love with the sport, and he actually acquired 4 figurines, which you saw in the ring, and he kept them. And he, at the time, we're talking about way back in the early 70s, it wasn't called collecting, it was mainly acquiring stuff. So you would save stuff and put it away, and he actually acquired a lot of comic books, magazines of Lucha Libre, and some comic books of superheroes and Lucha Libre-based characters. That's why we have, walking up the stairs, we actually have some examples of scanned comic books so people can see the art, the character. Lucha Libre has actually existed in Mexico for a little over 86 years, officially 86, but obviously we found out that it has a 20-year learning curve, if you will. The founder or the person that actually brought Lucha Libre or created Lucha Libre went to Texas, Mr. Salvador Lutero.
The creator of El Consejo.
Exactly. So what he did is they invited him to see this event of wrestling. At the time, it was more popular in Europe and in Japan. When it was brought to the States, he saw potential. But then again, as when we talked earlier, you get the American taller, slimmer versus a Mexican, which is a little bit shorter and stockier. So you have to make the sport believable. And one of the things that he adapted was a little bit, I'm not saying that wrestling doesn't have technique. Unfortunately, we're talking about mainstream wrestling is kicking, hitting, lifting, and throwing, basically. Independently, you and I know that there's a lot of talented guys that do know how to do lucha libre or wrestle, if you will. So what this person, Mr. Lutero, did is implemented more judo, more technique, besides the character of the mask and all that.
Okay.
I can tell you, true story, and I'm talking about this about at least 4 out of 10 guys. If you're a parent, would you allow your son to go and practice wrestling, literally?
Never.
All right, but if you live in Mexico and you know that the number one sport is soccer, and your son says, "Dad, I'm going to go practice soccer with my friends," what would you say?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, now think about it. Let's say my son, hopefully that he doesn't do it, but let's say my son knows this, and he goes and practices lucha libre without me knowing, which happened a lot way back in the day. So you're training. Obviously, after a while, promoters see you. They offer you the opportunity. How would you get on the ring and do a show without people recognizing you?
I guess one would get a mask of some sort.
Exactly. And the first characters, as far as what we've heard and looked up information, first characters were mainly guys in color. The guy in black, the guy in blue, the guy in red, white. And then some of the guys started off with animals because they remembered the Aztecs. Remember the gentleman, eagle, tiger, nobleman, if you will. So the warriors mainly. So people started to the bat, the cat, and so on and so forth. So afterwards, we're talking about, let's say, 50s going to 60s, a lot of characters started to develop, like a Frankenstein. There was a Nazi, a Mexican. He was Mexican, though, but the character was named Nazi because he kind of looked German. And so he got the gear and stuff, and he went with the character. So
I mean, that's like classic professional wrestling. Like the Von Erichs, not Fritz Von Erich was not really German either.
So anyhow, one of the things that Mr. Lutero saw is the theatrics of the character. And that's how Lucha Libre became the phenomenon that it is. So now let's fast forward, current time. It still applies where kids will actually tell their parents, "I'm going to go practice soccer with my friends," when they in reality have gone to the gym and trained Lucha Libre. So And this collection, basically, my friend actually trained Lucha Libre. He created the character, so if you need the logo, if you see the character, it's his name is Darkiwana. Big fan of Batman, so that's why the Dark Knight. He likes lizards, so that's why Darkiwana. At first, my character was my character's Zorell. At first, my character was gonna be Darklaw because, again, also a fan of Batman, but a fan of Wolverine. But at the time, a lot of the guys, and I'm talking about 15 years ago when we were training and doing stuff, a lot of guys had the name very Americanized. So I thought, why should I go? I mean, I do love Wolverine and Batman, but I can create my own character. I mean, I have the visually, I already had the mask, but not the name. And I just came about the name, and Zorell exists, and I did a stint for 1 year. Basically, it was California area, and mainly in the States, Ensenada, Mexicali. Never in Tijuana, though. Never in my hometown. But anyhow.
How old are you? That's something that, like, a little bit.
Yes, a little bit of me, but then again, I've had the opportunity to get on the ring as a host, visitor, referee, if you will. So I mean, it's tame. That heartache, if you will, is tame, but still.
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So coming back to the collection of the museum, my buddy, loving the sport, loving the stories, loving all of this information, he decided to start saving up the magazines and getting figurines. But that's another thing. If you go and purchase those little plastic figures that don't have any joint in movement, but you had fun with them. So what he did is he actually, from the magazines, looked up different characters and saw all the angles of the set mask, and he actually customized. Since he was little, like playing with different characters, and he started to save and save and save. Now he, as I said, he trained, so you get to know the guys. And Rey Mysterio Sr., he's the teacher of everybody in Tijuana, actually gave him a mask as a gift. That was his first professional mask. Wow. So what happened afterward?
Maybe early 90s?
Yes. So imagine you got your first mask, you got your magazines, you got your figurines, you got your hats, you got T-shirts. What's the next step? Start acquiring and knowing more people, and if you like the mask, you like the color. So that's how basically this collection started. And one of the things he actually just told me a couple of days ago, someone offered to sell him a championship belt. Someone that needed the money, and it was one of those things that they don't make mass produced like. Yeah. So this guy, he's like, apparently he had, I don't remember, he never actually, Mauricio doesn't like to say why or how, just he acquired it, and I never asked. I mean, we've been friends for 20 years.
Mystery.
Yes, part of it, but I know he's a good-hearted man, so that's one of the things I love about this project, because a lot of people hear Lucha Libre and they think of the violence, allegedly. I say Lucha Libre is a storyline. And when I fell in love with when I was 4 years old. So to me, that was the closest thing to superheroes, because you got the good guy and the bad guy wearing capes and masks. What else?
Yeah, what gets better than that?
Exactly. So we met each other. We started to hang out, and we had our characters, and we just started from there on. One of the things I do as my collection, if you will, I don't acquire everything because I got a lot of superhero stuff as is. And what I do is I do take pictures with the luchadores. It doesn't matter, Japanese, American, Mexican, everybody, new guy or older, it doesn't matter to me. As long as you get on the ring and I like what you did, I asked to get a picture. I print it in 6x8. Afterwards, eventually, if I'm lucky, I get the picture signed, and that's my collection. Cool. Which I believe eventually will be shown here in the museum. We're figuring that out because, as you can see, everything is covered, even the ceiling, the walls, everything. So the idea of the museum started 10 years ago, but it actually came to fruition about 5 years ago that the building was acquired. So we're saving a lot of money. We started working on this project about the same time when it was acquired. So
it was acquired like your Arena Mexico of sorts.
If you will, yeah. And the place was acquired. I had to do a lot of work be done. And carpenters, electricians, everybody did their thing. And when the area was ready to start setting up the museum, it took us 1 year and 8 months to do the whole thing. In retrospect, I think we did it fast because it's a lot of work.
It's incredible to think how much work went into that short amount of time looking at this place that I'm in right now. It's amazing.
And I can tell you that every display that you see in this place was at least set up and torn on 3 times at least.
Wow.
Because it was the architect, the owner of the collection, and myself. We were like, we had to be we have to say that we liked it 100%. If something wasn't right, something doesn't feel right, we took it off and we did some changes. But the thing is, you would think you take just some of it off and put it back. No, no, no. We took everything out. We literally, the original idea looks so different than what it is, but I think it works perfectly because you walk in, you see the ring, right? You see the albums, you see the small mask. People, trust me, you have to come to Tijuana, and when you're here, we are open Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, 10 to 6. So you walk in, you see the small masks, which are kind of like keychains. You see some plastic figurines and the hats. You see some luchadores of Tijuana with a little space for them. We have a nicho of mil máscaras. Mauricio is a big fan of mil máscaras. Next to you, will see a collection of things that an adult would have, like cups, glasses, and more stuff like that. And you walk towards the wall, you see over 580 figurines made out of plaster and handmade. That's another thing people don't know about Lucha Libre. Everything you see in Lucha Libre is handmade. It's craft. Even the
The masks.
even the mask of the luchadores, the boots, the capes, everything is handmade. So you have to get it tailored. It's not like there's a machine like, here, throw me 100 masks of El Santo. No, no, no. A guy has to actually measure, cut, and sew. And that's one of the things I'm proud of being a Mexican because I mean, it's there's magic there. There's creativity. So I mean,
Craftsmanship. One of my favorite things, one of my first favorite things when I fell in love with Lucha Libre was just how amazing the costumes were and the masks were and how they were better than anywhere else in the world of professional wrestling, anywhere in the world. And it's that craftsmanship that you're talking about. And even to this day, I see masks that just blow my mind that how they can even do that. It's magical.
and Japan, I believe, had at the time we're talking 60s, 70s, some characters that were masked, but the explosion of the 70s in Mexico, going all around the world, I think that actually pulled Japan towards more masked characters.
Yeah.
And
Like Mil Mascaras in his legendary career in Japan, and then we see people like Tiger Mask in Japan. Like
Ultimate Dragon,
Yeah, Ultimate Dragon, Hayabusa.
Liger,
Mm-hmm.
he actually came to Mexico for his farewell tour.
Yes.
He was gonna come to Tijuana. That's something people don't know. We were really working with his people to make it happen. Unfortunately, well, what can I say? Unfortunately, Lucha Libre has its ups and downs, but Mauricio actually went and met him, so that was cool. And but we've had the pleasure of having a little over 250 luchadores, like Mil Máscaras, Octagon, Silver King. Remember, we know he died in May. He came the year prior.
Wow.
Yes, a lot of juniors like Garza Junior, Fishman Junior, Máscara Sagrada Junior. A lot of the guys locally, obviously, also have been here, and it's a pleasure because I mean, I think everybody that loves Lucha Libre, like yourself, you're amazed at the whole collection, especially it's one person's collection. But I think if you're not a fan of Lucha Libre, I think it's impressive all by itself just to see every little detail of the place. So thank you for the opportunity to talk about something we love.
Hey, you're totally welcome. As you know, this is a big passion of mine, and it's just it's such a treat to see these different pieces. I wanted to make mention of a couple of the things specifically. I saw the actual seats from
Arena Mexico. Yes,
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Lutero family heard about the project, and they were here about 2 months when I started helping these guys. They came 8 months later and just saw 40% of the place what we were doing. 40% is not even half.
Yeah.
They fell in love and they sent us more stuff. Like the boots, the golden boots you see in that. They don't know who they were.
I was
They
gonna
found-
ask you.
But we decided to keep it anonymous luchador because we don't want to put a name of someone we're not sure who they belong to. So I think it's better because you have to know Lucha Libre, maybe 100 guys train, only 5, if anything, will actually graduate and do the whole test and stuff. So unfortunately, a lot of good people that train get lost in the way. Maybe they do 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year. If you pass the year, you're somebody. Unfortunately, some of the guys, really good guys, they get injured, family, work. It sometimes, a lot of the times, to me, it's sad when it's money related.
Yeah, I mean, real life gets in the way.
Unfortunately. So then we have the Auditorio Tijuana seats, and this one's Arena 72, which is, as we mentioned, a smaller venue, but still one of the big places, or at least historical places. That's where I believe the first mass versus mass, hair versus hair started.
Wow.
But Auditorio Tijuana is the big house.
And you saw how excited I was to see those bow ties, the
Yeah,
authentic bow ties of the
that's thing.
referees.
The family knew about the project. A lot of people found out about the project before we opened, and they actually started, like, the trophies you see on most of the displays, they were donated by the luchadors, and most of them said, you know what, they're just, I don't have the spaces in the house, and the wife or the family, or before I get divorced and stuff like that, they actually, instead of throwing them out, they actually donated them here, and they're happy because people get to see those recognitions, those trophies, those moments of glory, if you will.
And it's better to be here for people to see and appreciate than in someone's nook of a house and no one's going to see it.
Exactly. So we've been really fortunate for a lot of the local guys and national guys. Negro Casas,
Legend.
he heard about the museum. He actually came and donated. The day he came, he donated some pants. Legendary pants from the 90s. The one that said 450. I think it's one of the first pairs he wore.
Wow.
The black with silver. He brought him. And then about a month later, he came back. He said, you know what? I brought the shoes to go with them. So we were, imagine, like, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. I can see the goosebumps. I can testify. There are goosebumps right now.
Even though I work at a museum, if you can tell, I'm a character all by myself, but I'm a fan for heart. I love this place. So
That's cool.
I have the opportunity to meet a lot of the big names. Psycho Clown, to me, he's a good luchador. He's not as big as I would love him to be.
He's part of one of the most famous families in the history of Lucha Libre.
Exactly. So imagine, to me, I know he's very popular with a lot of the fans. To me, he's a good luchador, but he's not where they're placing him. I think it's too big of a shoe. But that's my point of view.
I'd say he's maybe one of the biggest stars in AAA right now.
Exactly. He's their flagship.
Yeah.
And he's getting there, but still a lot of people sometimes love him, hate him. But imagine my surprise when he comes here. He's not wearing his mask, but I recognize him for the tattoos and body belt and all that. And I have to do the tour with the guy, and I'm talking to him, and I'm like, dude, I'm a big fan of your dad and your uncles. Brazo de Plata, his dad.
One of my favorites ever, Brazo de Plata.
But they were the
super pulpy for some playing at home.
Exactly. So imagine that, speaking with one of the sons of Porky and the flagship of AAA. So to me, it was like, whoa, it was incredible because the guy was really humble, really nice, and he was really happy. We had one of his original masks, and he actually testified.
Is that the one in the far corner?
Yeah.
Yes.
He told us it's one of the first 5 masks. He actually painted that. Nobody else worked on it. He acquired a Gene Simmons mask, plastic mask, and he did the paint. So imagine that. And I actually got into the display, pulled it out, and he confirmed it, and he actually signed it. So to us, and then there's the glove of his father is in the next display. He sat down, he's like, dude, take a picture of it so I can send it to my dad. And I took the picture, and I'm assuming he told him. But to us as a museum
So
people,
cool.
that day alone, it was Niño Hamburguesa was here, Psycho Clown, and Joe Líder.
Oh, wow.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Okay, that character, I met him about 14 years ago. Usually what happens is when a luchador from out of town goes to any visiting town, the local guy is their tour guide. I'm assuming that happens also in the States.
Yeah.
All right, so...
All over Japan, even Australia. I've driven many a wrestler around in my day.
Okay, so it applies the same.
Yeah.
When Joe Líder, he's from Guadalajara, when they started to bring him over, we clicked and we became friends, but just friends, normal, basic, not like buddy, right?
Yeah.
And he was at the time, his character was really serious, really crazy. This one time, it was him and 3 other guys, I don't remember what their names were, but he asked me on the down low, you know what, I need to get some stuff for my family, but you know how these guys get attitudes because the luchador is always single regardless of, right? So I'm helping him get Christmas presents for his kids. We disappeared for an hour and change. Disappearing, unfortunately, even though both of us are guys, happily married, people think different things.
Right.
And they started to give a shit about, hey, why did you guys disappear? And we were acting slightly suspicious, so they started to give a shit.
Right.
He looks at them, and everybody starts like really serious. And jokingly, because we actually had more time to talk, we actually noticed we had a lot of things in common, and we started to joke. So we started to joke, and people look at us, and they look at us really funny. And I remember answering, "I'm the guy. It doesn't matter. I'm the guy." And he actually, he's my husband, and I'm his husband.
Yeah.
The funny part to me is, 14 years later, I see him in the show. I'm with my wife, and I told my wife,
That's my husband.
no, but here's the thing. That's my husband, but it's been a while since I've talked to him, so I would like to go say hi. I'm not sure if he might recognize me or not. It was a good 8 years that we never spoke. He did his thing, I did my thing. I see him, I'm walking a good, I don't know, let's say 20 feet away or more. And he sees me and he's like, "Viejo!" Like, hubby.
That's great.
And to me, I was like walking like really confident, really happy. I say hi, I introduce wife, my hubby, my wife. And he's like, "Socia, partner." And to me, it's something that he came to the museum, and as soon as he saw me, I'm like, "I've been wanting to come, but sometimes the flights, they're tired, hungry, and then they have to fight and they fly again." So I understood that a luchador's time is really, really precious. And people sometimes don't know that they get sick, they sometimes don't sleep well, and they have to do a show.
Yeah, I have quite a few wrestler friends myself, and trying to catch them when they're in town, when I'm in town and they're in town. So many things going on. It's tough to line that up sometimes.
And because I know that, that's why I appreciate when they have the time to come visit the museum, and then we actually get the opportunity to talk and reminisce or just meet the guy. I knew, like Psycho Clown, as I said, the opportunity to speak about his father, his cousins, his uncles, and for us to confirm the piece we have, the mask we have, was one of his first 5, not 10, not 20, the first 5 masks he wore.
Amazing.
He couldn't say which one because he said he bought 5 masks and he actually worked all of them the same. So, but to us, imagine, you got a piece of history there.
Yeah.
So we are really, really excited, and hopefully everybody has the opportunity to come to Tijuana.
I would recommend it so highly. This has been such a highlight of my entire trip to the USA, and I'm so happy I came down here today. To finish up, I did want to ask, to me, the piece de resistance of this collection, the hair. So to me, mask versus hair, or hair versus hair, or mask versus mask, it's that they are the big special matches in the history of Lucha Libre. And you have a wall. You have a wall, and you have
142 sets of hair, yes.
from some of the most famous matches in the history of Lucha Libre. I so excited when I saw Peril by and Sangre Chicana.
First one, yeah.
My gosh, it's so many.
No,
Jake the Snake and Conan. Oh,
But here's the best part to that story. The hair. It's like, okay, you have your family, your friends that you love Lucha Libre. Obviously, they know this, right? Same here. But this person, the owner of that set collection, he actually, all of those hairs, he acquired by himself. Like, he actually went, saw the match, and the guy is sweeping the dirt in the hair. And he's like, "May I?" Sure. He grabbed and he put it in the little plastic bag. He stored it. So when the museum started to work, he's like, the owner of the collection, Mauricio, is his friend Raul is the owner of the hair collection. He's like, "Would you lend me your collection?" He's like, "Sure." So we had to think, because the hair's in a little plastic and it's, well, some of it was dirty, some of it was bloodied. What do you do with the hair? You can't wash it.
yeah.
So we had to look up information on how to restore and do chemical stuff, if you will, to the hair. So we
Preserve it.
exactly, and clean it mainly,
Yeah.
and how to display it. The architect of the project is a baseball fanatic, so he said, "How about we use a plastic clear box for baseball, signature baseball?"
Yeah.
I'm a collector, but I have trading cards, so I thought it's a good idea. But the baseball box is too big, and if you saw the collection, some of the hair is not too much. It's gonna seem like too much of a box for the small hair.
Some of them, there's a lot. I saw Jack Evans' hair, and there was a lot in that one. But
big
others
lock.
just like one lock.
So again, me being a collector of trading cards, I thought boxes for cards, 10, 25, 50. So that kind of worked for us. And then we had to put the hair in, seal the box, because that's another thing. What if, I mean, God forbid, but something happens, the display gets dropped or whatever, hair is going to be messed up all around. So what we did is,
how would you know what's what?
and that's another thing. We decided on, at first it was the box, name and information, but it's like, no, because people may want to read who's here and there. So it took us a while, but we figured out an idea. I think it works.
Yeah.
And when we opened the museum, we had, at the time, 119 hairs, or displayed 119 hairs. And as we mentioned, every 2 years, the idea is to make some changes. So for our second anniversary, that week, it was hard as, wow. I mean, I don't want to cuss or anything, but it was hard because we closed on Sunday. Monday is our day off. And we had to set up 10 different displays and change and add. And Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we opened Friday. And that was our open week, our anniversary weekend. So imagine we were hauling, and that's another thing. As I told you, I don't know if I told you or one of your friends, there's only the cleaning lady, the guard, the owner, and myself.
Wow,
So there's not a lot of staff. And
amazing.
to add a little bit more, a degree of difficulty, if you will.
Yeah.
So imagine, basically, the owner of the collection and myself and the cleaning lady were the ones hauling ass and trying to set up everything. And we actually changed 50 masks. We changed 10 displays, and everything was done by Friday morning that we opened.
Wow.
So it's a satisfaction, and I think we accomplished a lot. And the visitors, honestly, sometimes I've been dog-ass tired doing my work, but I love it. But seeing that the fans or people that visit and know and leave the place so happy makes everything worth it, honestly.
That's so cool.
And the best part is I have my lovely wife that always has supported. My kids also have been here. My son, 9 years old, and when we were working at the museum, he was 7 years old. He was inside the displays with me, setting up some of the stuff. And I told my son, I'm thankful that we had the opportunity to do something together, and it's something people will never know.
Yeah, and that's a memory that you guys will always share.
Exactly. So again, thank you for the opportunity.
Beautiful.
I hope people if they come to the San Diego, Tijuana area, hope they visit Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 to 6. My name is Zorell, and it's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll give out the details of the museum on our page, and thank you so much. I cannot tell you guys out there in podcast land how special it feels to be in here right about now. Thank you so much.
No problem.
All right. So thanks, Chris, for that sweet interview. This is fun. To be real with our listeners right now, it's what, like 2.5 weeks since we last recorded for this same podcast.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know. I'm not good at dates, but yeah, it's like we're just seamlessly picking up from the continued coverage from the car and then from the interview in TJ.
Yeah, the podcast will take place in Mexico. Mexico. Did we record in Mexico? No, post Mexico. So yeah, well,
I mean, we did record the interview with the dude at the Lucha Museum.
There you go.
Yeah.
So portions of this are going to be recorded in Mexico, portions are going to be recorded in California, and a portion of it will be recorded in both Australia and Washington simultaneously.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Wow, so worldwide. We truly are the international shit show of podcasts. Say it in the most loving way possible, you know.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, we're fresh. In theory, we're fresh out of night 3 of BOLA. So we're intending to keep our discussion of the Battle of Los Angeles weekend 2019 done for you guys, and then we've got some other stuff to chat about as well with the fucking 2 weeks that have gone past. How you doing, man?
Not bad at all. Right now, as I speak, I have a beer in my left hand and I have a dog biting my right hand. So I'm having a great time. It's good.
That sounds like a significant step up from yesterday with all the fucking bullshit that was going down with your moving situation.
Yeah. I don't really want to get into it because no one is interested in that shit at all. But luckily, I'm having a much better day today. Yeah, and the dog
his teeth are much more painful. Stop it! Stop it!
Nice. Yeah.
How are you doing?
I'm good. Fresh back from the markets where I had a tasty market breakfast with the dogs. I saw a lot of movies on Friday because it's our Brisbane International Film Festival's on at the moment, one of my favourite times of the year. So I finally, for the first time ever, got to see Apocalypse Now. Have you ever seen Apocalypse Now?
You know what? I'm sure my dad was, he's from that generation and watched all kinds of old school movies. So I'm sure at one point in time I was in the room while it was on, but I've never sat down and paid attention. No.
Right. Well, I would definitely recommend, and perhaps there's been no better time with this most recent final cut that's come out. Because apparently initially the first version that came out, they just cut down for time as much as they could and got rid of as much of the wacky experimental shit as they could just for general, good reception. And then they did a Redux version, like I want to say maybe 15 or 20 years ago, which I have a DVD of. That's just the fucking longest version ever. It goes like 3.5 hours or more. Where perhaps there was maybe some unnecessary stuff that was left in for the completist kind of deal. But then this most recent version is the one that Francis Ford Coppola said is his favorite version because it maintains the integrity of it. It keeps all of the real wacky shit in there, and it has the best flow while getting rid of stuff that's probably not necessary. And it clocks in at a tasty 3 hours and 5 minutes. So.
Oh, good lord!
But yeah, fuck man, I think it may be up there with my favorite films of all time. It's definitely in the conversation with Citizen Kane and the first Godfather movie for me at least.
I've seen a little bit, but if I'm correct, it's the movie about, is it either Vietnam or Korea? They go down the river and they end up
Vietnam
meeting up with Marlon Brando.
Mm-hmm.
And Marlon, he's gone like crazy, and he's like leading a bunch of people. Yeah. It sounds badass. Like it sounds like everything anybody would want to enjoy. I have just no attention span for anything.
Yeah, I went on a whim. I mean, I've always wanted to watch the movie, but I wanted to save it like for the first time of seeing it properly. Like you don't want to go into a 3-hour plus movie not in the right mindset. And this was like actually screening in a cinema. As part of this film festival, and it was the last time they're actually playing it in Brisbane on the big screen, so I'm like, fuck, I guess I have to go. And my buddy David was like, yeah, fucking why not? He just happened to be nearby, and then we went to it together, had this great intro by Baz Luhrmann, who
oh sweet,
I think it was like his official selection for the film festival. So yeah, old Bazzo had some great little tidbits of why he loves the movie so much, and then we got like a following introduction from Francis Ford Coppola himself. I mean, not in person, on the screen, but it was still still very cool. And then we saw a great Australian film featuring Hugo Weaving later on that night, where we had a live director Q&A after it. So yeah, very fun.
Good times.
It's a big day of culture. Also, and then on Saturday, I watched the Friday night CMLL Arena Mexico show because I thought it was just quite current with all the craziness that's going on in CMLL. Before we go into the final night of PWG, have you kept abreast of the madness of CMLL at the moment in the news?
Only the most recent, or only the two firings I heard about were. Or departures were Rush and Dragon Lee. Yeah, right. Will this further pop off since then?
A little bit. So, I mean, all this has come from, I guess, the big change was the death of Paco Alonso, who was like the Luderoth family member who CMLL's been in their family for like 3 generations since like the 40s. And so he never got enough credit. Like, if anything, people would criticize him because they're like, oh, CMLL, it's not adapting for the future and blah, 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 and Paco doesn't care. But you know, they've been a fucking really successful company for like 70 odd years.
Yeah.
So they're doing something right, and they like generally draw on average around about 6,000 people like every Friday night in the same building. And then they draw like 3,000 in that building on Tuesdays, and they have other shows through the week. So, I mean, I can't think of any wrestling promotion in the fucking world that could hit the same arena and draw like 6,000 people on average there every week. That's impressive as hell to me.
No, 100%. Yeah, and actually, the stuff that we watched the other day was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, so we
I
watched
wasn't
the
so
big
aware of all the
anniversary show.
characters and stuff. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
So yeah, anyway, Paco dies, and then it's like his daughter Sophia Alonso was kind of like taking the reins, and then there's sort of like a thing where maybe she wasn't ready, and then the uncle, or I guess Paco's brother Chavo, is sort of like running the day to day more of it now, and apparently there's some like disagreements and stuff, and Chavo's cutting people's pay a little bit, and you know all of those things that everyone hates on promoters for doing, but I guess business is business. But yeah, so all this happens, and immediately following the show that we watched, the anniversary show, we get the news of the release of Roosh and his brother Dragon Lee. So I thought it'd be really timely for us to watch this show. And like you said, you haven't seen too much CMLL, right? Tell me just all of your kind of like first thoughts of the feeling of it and wackiness and everything.
First thing, I actually like the presentation. It does seem kind of a little cartoony and a lot of bright colors as far as like the mat, the canvas, and the ring ropes and everything. But I really like the camera work, man. Like a lot of cool, interesting angles. There was one time where the guy was on one side of the ring and actually did a full pan around the turnbuckle to the other side. Like normally they would just do a cut shot from one camera to another. They wouldn't actually show you going around the turnbuckle. But yeah, it was a great, interesting shot of, I think somebody was doing a submission in the middle of the ring. So it was just a great look as he went around and just saw the whole angle of it. You just never see that in American wrestling.
I think their filming's super underrated. Like to me, looking at like a sold out or close to sold out Arena Mexico is like one of the coolest buildings in wrestling, full stop. And they really capture that impressiveness of it. Like I feel like the way they film it, like that 15,000 fans in Arena Mexico looks more impressive than like the friggin' 70, 60,000 odd fans that WWE gets for WrestleMania in terms of the way it's filmed,
Yeah, and then the other thing, the audio. The fans actually sound too muffled. Like it sounded like they were inside of a can or something.
Well, they've improved that significantly because back when I started watching CMLL, this has probably gone back like 2004-ish. Like the crowd was like so quiet, like it's like they probably had it on 10% volume. So it's like occasionally if there was an insane pop, you'd sort of hear the crowd a little bit, but most of the time it's just that extremely loud Spanish commentary, just like yelling, and that's all you hear. Even when there's like bumps, you wouldn't even hear the bumps in the ring. So yeah, to me the audio compared to then is like a fucking treat. But yeah, I mean they could probably turn that crowd up a little bit because Arena Mexico fans are like crazy passionate. I love the fucking air horns and shit. It's great.
Yeah, exactly. By the opposite of not being able to hear them, they did a lot of crowd shots. Like they do cut to the crowd a lot. Better seen, not heard. Apparently.
I love how many enormous beers you see in the crowd shots as well. Like everyone's just drunk off their ass.
Everyone's having a good. Yeah, you can tell everyone's having a fucking great time.
Reminds me a bit of PWG in that way.
Yeah.
So did you where did you start? What was the first match you watched on it?
I actually watched some of the Micros match because it was so ridiculous how tiny these little motherfuckers were.
It was so impressive.
I didn't realize there was a whole different division called the Micros under the Minis.
Yeah. And this was a momentous occasion. This was the first ever Apuestas match, which is like a mask versus mask or mask versus hair in the Minis division history. So it was a really big deal. And I think I enjoyed it the most out of any match on the whole show. I loved that match so much. We had Microman, who is just so incredible. Like, the crowd loves him. I love him. I was watching it with my friend Mitch, who was like, "Oh, you're gonna make me watch fucking wrestling again?" And he's just like not interested at all. And then he's like, "Whoa, hang on, what's going on here?" And he loved this match. And that bit where
great.
did you see Microman jumped off of the stage?
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember.
I'm like, that is so tall for a man of his stature. That's like 10 of him.
They're bold, man. The micro or any of the mini guys always impress the shit out of me, because especially when the ones who don't necessarily have the like their body shape is a little maybe augmented because of what's going on, and the fact that those guys can still move like fucking crazy, it's amazing.
Dude, apparently, like the micros, like Micro Man specifically, initially was told he's like too small and his body type and whatever would be too delicate. Like he couldn't actually be part of their smaller dudes division at all. But then he like fought for it. And originally he was going to be the new Caminito, apparently, because Caminito, little blue monkey dude's getting a bit old these days. But yeah, then Ultimo Guerrero was like, "You guys want it? All right, well, I'll train you up and we'll see how you go." And then yeah, he's just been
Awesome.
killing it. Yeah, I loved it. It was like I got just so excited for the groundbreakingness of it and just how well they did. And yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Just imagine like being like the wrestling guy. It's like this tiny little guy, like, "Nah, man, I fucking want to wrestle." It's like, "Sorry, bro, you can't do it." Like, "No, bro, you're gonna train me how to fucking wrestle."
Yeah, I don't want to wear the fucking blue monkey suit, man. I want to wrestle.
Yeah, well, that's so intense. Like, fucking, hey, bro, okay, let's do this shit.
And he's been killing it ever since. I loved it. Yeah, then we had what do you think of the next match? I thought the next match was awesome as well.
But the trios one?
Yeah, trios title match, I believe it was, with the Dinamita brothers of Cuatrero, Forastero, and Sanson, who were like the new generation Dinamitas. It's like back when I was watching.
Those are guys
the
all
originals.
black and white?
Yep. And they were against what we had. We had Mystico, or the current version of Mystico. We had Caristico, who was the OG Mystico, and then we had Valiente, who I think is just incredible. And I love this match. I thought it was like just absolutely perfect. What did you think?
I enjoyed it. I had a hard time following the story because it's just a bunch of crazy spots and guys getting their shit in. But I do fucking love that one weird monkey flip combination. Like,
how
it's
impressive
almost
was
like a
that?
Pad spot move.
Where he like does like a monkey flip to his own partner and then just gets so much air and
a cannonball.
Yeah, just like the most badass cannonball to the other dude in the corner I've ever seen.
I think the Ugly Ducklings do something similar, but I think he like uses his feet, like it launches them off. You know, the three Ugly Ducklings.
Yeah, from like Black Label and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was a big fan of this match. I really enjoy the 2 out of 3 falls nature of the CMLL matches. Like, I remember like Conan used to be like, "Oh, dude, that sucks that they still do that. It's so old. You know, no one wants to see 2 out of 3 falls anymore. You should bring it up to date with American wrestling and do 1 fall," which is why in AAA they just only do 1 fall matches to be like more modern or whatever. But I just love the flow of the 2 out of 3 falls where you have the baby faces generally get like the first win, which is kind of like the shine, and then the heels will get like the second fall win, which is the heat of the match, and then you go into the third, and the third fall is pretty much the finishing sequence. And I love it.
You know what? I could go either way. I think the only thing that becomes cliche about the 3 falls is that it usually goes that way. I think that's why people get disappointed. Like, they assume it's going to go that way. But if you're just into it for a fun story time, then who cares? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, you can change it up. Obviously, sometimes you see the heels get the first win and then the babyface will get the second win, and then you go into that. Or occasionally you'll even see, like, 2 falls straight. So it's not like they do the exact same story all the time. But I like it. To me, the whole reason I like CMLL really is because it's like it feels like authentic Lucha Libre. Like, you get the awesome, like, wacky Yave style, like, mat wrestling at like the start of the fall, and then just like the classic Rudo beatdowns and the just some of the best flyers in the business. Full stop today. Like even like Valiente, you look at his body type, he looks like a fucking stocky power lifter. And then some of the crazy dives and shit that he was pulling off in this match were just impressive as all hell. And he's got to be like in his late 30s.
That's exactly what I wanted to say to you. That the guy is thick as fuck. He's Ricky Banderas. That guy is a fucking thick motherfucker. This guy was even bigger than that dude, and he's doing crazy lucha spots. Yeah, they're really impressive.
Yeah, I think like Valiente was one of my first favorites when I started watching CMLL. So that shows you like how long he's been doing it at such a high level, and he's still kicking ass. I love it. And then the main event that I know you got a bit of a kick out of. Please explain this to our listeners at home.
Okay, so we have a cage match where the guys come in periodically, but at the same time, the point of the match is to get out. Like you come down, and then you have to escape. And the other guy, and whoever's the last two people in, are fighting, and then the last person loses their hair. Right? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's amazing.
Yeah. So this particular kind of match has quite a bit of history in Arena Mexico. They used to do it for like the year-end show. And they called it like the Cage of Hell or whatever. And then this year there was a bit of criticism because initially it was built up like it was meant to be Cibernetico and Ultimo Guerrero. They've been building up this feud that was going to be the main event, and people were like, "Wow, Cibernetico is not a very good wrestler, so this is going to be the worst main event in anniversary show history." I think Cibernetico is a bit better than people give him credit for, but he's probably not the best wrestler in the world. When I first saw him in AAA, I thought he's like, okay, so this guy's Mexican Batista, basically. So that's kind of like what we're looking at here. But so then they had a bunch of other hair versus hair challenges as well through the other feuds. That is great, like little hype video before the match that kind of explained it a little bit. And then so I guess the decision was made, hey, we can't have like 6 different hair versus hair matches on this show. Let's just chuck all these fuckers in a cage and make it one match.
That's fucking amazing. Like, it's brilliant booking. Like, imagine the solution. Somebody just says, "Why don't we just do it all at once?" The other guy's like, "Fuck you!" Hey, wait a minute. Genius.
Yeah, I did read from Cubs fan over at the Lucha blog that perhaps one of the reasons that Ultimo Guerrero and Cibernetico, or I should say his current name, since he left AAA, he is not allowed to be called Cibernetico. He is now Ciber the Main Man, which may be the worst name in professional wrestling history.
You're fucking kidding me.
Nope, that is it.
Ciber the Main Man.
Ciber the Main Man. It gets better. So they had, you remember Charlie Manson in AAA back in the day, who just did like a Marilyn Manson gimmick? He had to, he changed his name. Get this. Charlie Rockstar is his new name.
Okay.
Charlie Rockstar. And the other one,
Charlie Rockstar.
The other one, who's part of their little group of former AAA guys, was I think Zeus. Do you remember Zeus? Wait, no, not Zorro. Zorro, that's it. From from AAA. He is now the Chris. Please explain that one to me. I don't know.
What?
Yeah, the Chris.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So sorry, I got a little.
Those are the worst names,
right?
And they all run together.
Yeah. They're and their faction name is probably quite terrible as well. Get this. They're called Clan Chaos with 2 Ks.
Oh my god.
And I think the clan may have a 4 in it instead of the A.
Oh, I see that logo. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But anyway, so apparently Ciber
so there's gotta be is there a 4th guy?
Maybe. I don't know. I think Gilbert Albariqua, like the dude you just said, Ricky Banderas or Macias, he sort of was teaming with him a bit, but I don't know if he's like actually part of the crew or not. But yeah, he was another, former AAA guy that's sort of similar deal. But so yeah, apparently Seba the main man and Ultimo Guerrero, Cubs fans said that no one could decide who was going to lose the hair because neither of them wanted to lose the hair to the other one. So perhaps that is why we got the cage match.
Oh. Well, it was fun. Yeah, it was really fucking silly and ridiculous. And at first, I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" And once I realized, I popped so hard when I realized what was going on. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is the match!"
My favorite bit, so when they first get into the ring, they can't just climb out straight away. So we have a timer where I think there's like 5 minutes, where the guys. I pop for this big, where everyone's still trying to climb out, but the referees are like, no, you can't climb out yet. The timer's not up. Like, these guys are in
You're not obeying the rules.
Yeah, dozens of these matches, yet they're like, well, fuck it, I might as well try. But this timer, let me talk about this fucking timer. This timer was enormous, took up about a third of the screen, and it
was ridiculous.
It was making me seasick.
That added more to what the fuck is going on for me. I was like, why is this clock so big? Like, why does the people in the home audience need to know so bad what time is going on?
Yeah, it was big and it was super aggressive because it would I don't know if it was like center aligned or something, but it was like it'd sort of move as it counted down, like it'd kind of like wobble. I got to the point where I had to like close one eye and like hold part of my hand over the screen. But
vertigo from the damn CML clock.
Yep. But then the timer expired, and then the escapes were like fast and furious. Hey, you used to like the escapes kind of being built up in these matches to be like kind of almost like he tries to get out and then he doesn't, and then the other guy, it's a big convoluted thing. No, a lot of these ones are like, fucking see ya, and then they just escape. My favorite was Volador's.
It always made some more sense. You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, that's how it would work. People are like, shit, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Boom.
Yeah, I don't want to lose my hair. Jeez. Yeah. My favorite was Volador Jr.'s escape. So he had like him and the other guy were doing a beatdown on the other dude, and he's like, I'm gonna climb to the top and jump on him, okay? Hold him still. And he climbs to the top, ready to jump, and he's like, fucking bye, and just escapes.
That's hilarious.
It's so good because there's so many times in cage matches in the history of wrestling where the dude goes up to the fucking top and goes for the dive, and you're like, why the fuck didn't you just climb out? You had the perfect opportunity. He did it.
They got to pop the crowd. This guy's like, fuck this, I'm trying to win.
Yeah. Great stuff. And any other thoughts of like favorite bits or anyone you thought looked good in there? Or
honestly, just the whole time I was just cracking up. I was also, my brain was all fucking flustered from the shit that was going on while I was watching it. But yeah, I was saddened at the end. The guy did not appear to be very happy to get his hair cut.
Yeah, so it got down to the final two of Ultimo Guerrero and the man that has probably lost his hair more than anyone in the history of CMLL, Negro Casas. But at the same time, one of the greatest legends in CMLL, Negro Casas has been fucking amazing for so long, and he's still awesome, like, despite being, what would you say, late 50s, mid 50s, something around probably. There. He's in great shape. And I really enjoyed it once it got down to just him and Ultimo Guerrero. How about that fucking pop when he went for the Casita pin?
Dude, I remember it. Honestly.
So like the Mahi Stroll type of gimmick, and that's like his sort of signature move. And then Ultimo Guerrero kicked out, and the crowd just like fucking went nuts. It was awesome. And then Ultimo Guerrero eventually got the big win. He even gave like Negro Casas at like his age a fucking second rope powerbomb. So that was pretty.
Yeah, that was gnarly. I remember that one.
Yeah. And then the finish was the big Guerrero special, the reverse superplex off the top. And he got the 1, 2, 3, and Negro Casas yet again lost his hair. At this point, I think it's just like his summer trim, You know, like
Yeah, he just has it happen. Yeah, and I
yeah,
was planning on cutting my hair anyway. We might as well book it, you know?
yeah.
Make some money off this shit.
I'm assuming he doesn't require the biggest payoff in the history of the world to lose his hair at this point. He's like, yeah, you know, a couple $100, it'll be fine.
Or he still does, but he like, you know, he plans to do it anyway, so he figured might as well, man.
Yeah.
$600,000.
got a car repayment, got stuff, yeah.
Wigs aren't cheap. I'm still embarrassed about having short hair. I wear wigs.
Yeah. But no, overall, I really enjoyed this show, and I was like quite surprised. There's a lot of negative feedback on it on the Twitter and stuff. I guess from people wanting maybe something a little bit more unique or more like big super matches or spot fest kind of stuff. I just thought it was like a really solid, fun show. You know, I don't think it's like anything that's like absolutely must see greatest Arena Mexico anniversary show of all time. Like I had nothing on like, you know, Ultimo Guerrero against Atlantis or Atlantis and La Sombra or any of those sort of like classic one-on-one Apuestas matches. But like for what it was, I thought it was fun as shit and I enjoyed the show.
I did as well. And actually, before we move on, I want to touch base on one of the AAA shows that I watched while we were in Tijuana. I think it was was that Triple Mania that I watched with fucking Dr. Wagner and Blue Demon?
Yeah, with a hammer.
Okay, yeah. So the part I thought was hilarious is during the entrance, before Dr. Wagner's music was done, Blue Demon and his crew started coming out. Like before he was even done entering, like the guy was still in the rampway and Blue Demon just started coming out. It was fucking great.
Did they show the awesome bit where like they had them on opposing like elevated cranes doing like a face-off before the actual entry? I thought that was amazing. It's like, I don't understand this, but I think every big heated feud people should have to do a face-off on cranes.
I'm one that believes that wrestling could not, you know, have enough ridiculous shit. Like, have people in gigantic thrones, have people in cranes. The wall should be on the top of a building and Hulk Hogan is yelling at him from miles away. It's like, that shit is what wrestling's all about.
Yeah, I enjoyed the match a lot. But it was pretty cool. Like, when you're actually in Tijuana in the hotel room, just randomly on TV, this fucking match is on. What are the odds on that?
Yeah, I was like, I'm chilling in Tijuana watching Lucha Libre. This is living.
Yeah, in a really nice hotel room in a really nice hotel.
Oh my goodness! Did you listen back at all to me talking in the car?
I have not.
Okay, I just don't remember. I just remember rambling for a very long time.
Yeah,
I didn't mention any of our friends down there. It was cool hanging out with John and his pal Juan.
Oh, Juan got up to some trouble. Hey, he's a wild cat.
Yeah, we can't keep up with Juan.
We really. I hope one of these days we're going to get Juan on this show and we can hear a little bit about his exploits. I feel like that'd be fun.
Indeed.
Well, maybe we can at least get John to tell us about Juan, because I hear John's good friends with Juan.
Close personal friend.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, when we were recording, the big thing I remember is the impending doom that I was feeling of like how close this was going to be for us to get to the actual show on time. With us like hauling ass back from Tijuana to try to make it to the final night of BOLA without missing the first match.
And John actually at one point fucked up with the directions and went on the wrong way. I think he said it was faster. I hope it really was. It'd be weird that the wrong way ended up being faster, but hey, it worked out.
I didn't even know that. I was the one that felt guilty on that one. I thought it was my fault because you were the one that was like, guys, I don't think we should stop at this Ballast Point brewery. Like, this is going to be pretty tight. And then John and I are like, no, let's fucking do it. It was
but when we ended up going on the road, he missed he went on an exit we didn't need to at one point because the fucking traffic. He was busy doing his thing, trying to take care of shit for us, and he missed one road. We ended up getting there. I think because of our plans changed, it probably did become a quicker way to go and worked out in the long run. But yeah, guys,
I thought it was a strategic shortcut. But yeah, it worked out perfectly. Like it couldn't have worked out better.
He's like, oh shit. I went the wrong way. But hey, guys, look, it's faster. And I'm like, all right, sweet.
Yeah, we had someone watching out for us on our shoulder to get us to that show on time. I was saying at the time it felt very much like The Hangover in getting to the wedding.
We literally booked a place to park the car while we were going through traffic, so that was pretty fucking awesome. And
it was like a block away from the venue. That worked out really well.
All worked out. We literally sat down after smoking our joint right as the show was beginning. It was stupendous.
Yeah, it could not have worked out better. So I was so happy with that. And then we get to this. I think there was more just relief to me when we were there. It's like, I can't believe we're on time. This is amazing.
Yeah.
Rather than excitement that we're there for night 3 of Battle of Los Angeles, it's just relief. But dude, what were your memories of the show and your memories of how you personally felt through the show?
I started off very exhausted, but super excited and kind of overheated because I was running since we fucking got up. Basically walking through that line the entire time. My body was all worked up because I thought we were going to be late. Then we went to Ballast Point and chugged some beer and got back in the car. I thought we were going to be late. So I was on edge. Once the relief settled in, I started to enjoy the show more, but I was really overheated at first.
Yeah.
But, damn it, the dogs unplugged me again. 1 second.
While Jeremy's unplugged, I wanted to make sure to before we get to we're at the PWG BOLA part, but I want to make sure to give crazy thanks to Jon, who was just an incredible guide for our time in Tijuana. He prevented us from, I feel like, death on several occasions, walking down the wrong alleyways or going there's certain ways where we could have walked that'd be faster going to certain places, but he's like, you do not want to go that way. And
I don't know if he was right, but I'll assume he's right because he sounded very confident. He managed to be alive the whole time he's gone down there, so it sounds pretty safe to say that he knows what he's talking about.
And he had some awesome recommendations on some, like we've said before, some of the best tacos I've ever had in my life. The best cocktail that I think both of us have ever had in our life. That crazy good.
I made someone recreate it up here.
How'd it go?
It didn't taste as good because they couldn't smoke it, but it was still a fucking mezcal old fashioned, and it was pretty fucking delicious.
Awesome. Yeah, that was amazing. Just the whole time. If anyone gets a chance to go to Tijuana, there's so much more to it than what you may think on first perception. But
have Jon take it.
Hey.
That have Jon take it.
Yeah,
there, folks.
yeah. You should hit him up, and you can get a personal tour guide. On multiple occasions, I kind of felt like it was an episode of Anthony Bourdain, No Reservations kind of deal. Where I'm there with the local expert, and it's all right, no one knows about this place, but this is where we have to go for this. This is where we have to go for that. And I was like, this is fucking cool. So yeah, I felt incredibly.
This is the place where they call me puta.
But yeah, people were so nice, and it was just a great experience. Yeah, but big time thanks to our roving Mexican reporter, who is not actually Mexican, Jon Craft, for just treating us to a great time in Tijuana, and I hope we get to do it again when we have a bit more time down there.
Yep.
Yeah, but back to the show. Yeah, I feel you on when we got there, just big time tiredness. But there's a point where the giddiness meets the tiredness, and the excitement kind of overlaps it. So you're I did not know, I should be by all reasonable things dead at this point, but I've just got this excitement that's carrying me through. So I feel like that carried me through the first half of the show, where I was just loving it. But then it got maybe halfway through the show, and it got really hot. And I was just sweating. I had beads of sweat. And then I think was it you that turned to me and were like, am I just really hot right now? Or
I actually thought my tattoo was fucking me up. I remember I'm I think my tattoo's infected and I got a fever because I'm sweating so bad. And you're no, I'm dying over here. I'm okay, cool. Yeah. I'm not literally dying.
Because that's a bit surprising in like a nice venue as the Globe is with the air conditioning and everything. But I think like where we were kind of seated on that corner bend first couple row area where it's just a massive humanity, and I don't think the aircon could save us in that place. But dude, I remember, I got a bit faded during the big multi-man comedy tag, and then I'm not gonna lie, there were points of the main event where I'm like, this is awesome, I should be enjoying it more than I am, but I was just a little bit dead. But then I did come back for the finish and ending and everything like that. So it was an awesome night all in all. Hey,
Hell yeah, it was honestly, it wasn't the best BOLA I've ever seen, but it was one of the more fun times I've had overall as far as going to the shows and then hanging out with you guys and going to Mexico and shit. I do want to touch base real quick on Dave Meltzer's ratings of some of the matches, and I especially wanted to bring this up because I pointed this out to you while it was going on.
You did.
Dave Meltzer was not paying attention to Orange Cassidy and David Starr, and then gives it less than 2 stars. I love you, Dave, but come on. And he literally said people were falling asleep on Twitter. He was falling asleep. Motherfucker's eyes were closed and he was yawning. Was he not, Chris?
He was looking a little bit dad tired. Like if you can picture the dad who's trying to stay awake watching the movie when everyone's sitting down.
He's like, no, I'm not sleeping. No, you are sleeping.
Dad, go to bed. Come on, you're too tired for this movie. No, I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm just scrolling on the phone. Ridiculous.
I do think there were points where you on surface level you think he was fucking around on his phone, where to me, knowing a little bit about Dave, he was taking notes, But he was definitely getting tired. Yeah. And then it's like, everyone was tired.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was like I love a good comedy match where they're like, it's telling a good story. Like they actually got into the shit, and it was really similar to the match that we talked about before at Beyond.
Yeah.
But these people hadn't seen that shit,
exactly.
So it was great,
and that's exactly what it should have been. Hey, but you know my favorite, perhaps my favorite match of the entire weekend that Dave totally snubbed. The kids match.
Oh yeah, that was great. What did he give it? I forgot. I missed that.
Let me bring it up right now. Actually, I've got it here.
And I mean, again, Dave Meltzer, I respect the shit out of him, but we don't necessarily have to always agree. He's watching wrestling matches just like us.
I mean, I hate to be the guy that's like, oh, I can't believe Dave did this rating, because like there's too many people that, and Dave will tell you himself, it's just that's his personal thoughts on the match. He doesn't think it's the be all and end all. It's other people that give it that much
credence.
Yeah, that much credence. But yeah, to me, perhaps the best match of the entire weekend, definitely the best match of the first show, A-Kid versus Lucky Kid, that I thought was just such a fantastic breakout match. Crowd didn't really know either of them, but by the time that match ended, they like loved fucking both guys. I thought it was like, one of the best things. Dave gave it 3.5.
Yeah, but I thought it was fucking dope. I honestly, there was a lot of things that kind of disappointed me about the ratings, but it makes sense. Like, I didn't like seeing the Gresham and Artie rating, but honestly, as much as I love Artie, that wasn't a fucking stellar match. It was a pretty good passable match, but nothing where you're like, oh shit, did you see that shit? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you wouldn't tell anybody they need to go back and watch that. And I love Artie.
I hate to say it, but he probably did have the least impressive debut of all of the guys that were having their big coming out party, right?
Yeah, but then he came back in the 10-man and was fucking stole the show on that one spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I did like Dave properly put over how good Jeff Cobb and Daisuke Sekimoto was. Like, I fucking love that match so much, but I think sometimes it's just certain, people like certain flavors of wrestling over others. And Dave's is like your work rate spot fest that has like a good intensity to it is, I think, kind of his cup of tea, really. But anyway,
another match I have to celebrate is fucking Jeff and Brody versus Gresham and Daisuke. I think I talked about it before.
Yeah, night 2. Damn, that was good.
what a great match overall. The comedy was stellar and standout performance for Brody King. Actually, I put it over on Twitter and all of a sudden the dude followed me. Apparently, the guy likes compliments. That's cool. I get it.
Oh, look at that.
Hey, dog, get down. The dog's in the cat bed right now. Hang on a second. Dog, get the fuck down from there. Yeah. Hudson, kick his ass. All right.
Yeah, Brody against Caveman Ugg as well. I thought was
Oh.
really, really, really bloody good. I definitely think we'll see Caveman Ugg back in PWG.
Yeah, I think he'll be one of those guys that becomes like a standout for a while. If they can keep, if he, it doesn't cost too much to get him over there. That they did it with Jonah, like you said.
Yeah. Then they did it with Brooksy. They did it with Robbie. That's an interesting name I haven't heard pop up in a little while. Brooksy. What's going on there?
Yeah, what happened to Adam? Yeah.
I heard he was like, everyone was like talking about whether he was going to be signed by MLW, whether he was going to be signed by ROH.
He was up here for whack and then all of a sudden gone.
Heard there was talk of him getting a WWE contract as well, which wouldn't surprise me. And then, I don't know, maybe he's kind of in limbo from that, you know, how guys kind of like have to keep sometimes those signing news a bit close to their chest and he is waiting for medicals or something. I don't know. He'd be a guy I'd love to see pop up in All Elite Wrestling. I think he'd do great. We'll have to stay tuned.
Oh, All Elite Wrestling, huh? Pretty good show.
Yeah. Well, let's finish this. I wanted to lastly bring... Yeah, I almost forgot about this, but this was one that Dave really raved about on night 3. How bloody good was Bandito and Dragon Lee?
I've seen better. No, it was fucking amazing.
Probably like, maybe the best lucha match I've ever seen in person, like live in my life. It was just one of those blow away things where you're like, I feel lucky to be here right now.
That happens a lot at BOLA, honestly. Like you sit back after the match, you're like, wow, only a select few got to experience this live and in person, and it's fucking amazing. Yeah, that was a really great match.
Also, special mention, also the quarterfinals, night 3, that Gresham against A-Kid match. I loved that too. Great technical match and work over the knee of Gresham on A-Kid, and like the win where he just kept like ramming that knee into the mat over and over again until he tapped out. I thought that was just a fantastic finish.
Yeah, that's my kind of shit right there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go.
What did you think? Did you think that the finals would actually end up shaking out the way it did? Like, did you suspect those 3 guys? Or, I mean, I think everyone assumed Bandito, and the story they kind of set up for David Starr was clear it was going to be David Starr, but did you think Gresham was going to be that 3rd guy?
I didn't, but I couldn't have been more pleasantly surprised by it because I'm such a Gresham fan, and to me, he's a guy that belongs in the main event. So I was really happy to see him get this spotlight, and especially after we only like a couple of days prior watched that awesome David Starr Gresham match from 200. And just showed how fucking incredible he was there. So I don't know if like that performance had something to do with the composition of this match, but dude, I was so happy that was the final. You know, such a fresh match too.
Mm-hmm. And I was so glad that my not so fresh shirt was my Jonathan Gresham shirt, so I got to represent it for him for the show.
Do you care to share with our listeners how long you're wearing that shirt?
Over 24 hours. So that, I can definitely say that. By the end of it, I was wearing it from around 8 a.m. one day until I think around 11 o'clock the following day. So yeah, I didn't smell too bad, did I? You were right by me.
No, I was amazed. You were like, dude, I need to get a check. Like, and I was, you know, because we want to make sure none of us are that guy at a wrestling show. Everyone's like, fuck me, I'm sitting next to this smelly fuck. So you got me to give you the check, and I was like, I am honestly flabbergasted that you do not smell worse than you do. But yeah, it blew my mind that we went to Tijuana. John has his bag. I have my bag. We're like, "Where's your bag?" You're like, "I'm just going as I am." I'm like, fucking
Yeah.
what?
I thought we would be back in time and just, do a quick change or whatever. But yeah, we ended up being stuck on the border longer than expected. So, yeah, you make do. You make do. I took
I was
a
impressed
shower.
with
I
your
used some of
gusto.
your deodorants.
Yep. Our nice shower where we have to leave the room so the other party can have a shower.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so just to paint a picture, we have our shower in this room, and it's like a shower that's positioned immediately in front of the beds, and there's like a light switch in the shower, so the rest of the room can be dark, and yet the shower is illuminated. I guess we'll let our listeners envision what that is designed for.
Yeah.
That was funny.
I just love it that it was for the room with 2 beds, too. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I'm trying to picture the exact situation that they've got this set up for. It's
like we're a married couple who do not like to sleep in the same bed, but at the same time we might want to watch a hooker wash herself.
How would you like to come up to our room and just have a shower?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, that was wild. All right, so that's pretty much our BOLA coverage here. Pretty well done, but you brought up something interesting just now, my friend. All Elite Wrestling. We had a little something that was slightly newsworthy happen this week in the big debut of All Elite Wrestling on TNT. First time wrestling has been on TNT in near on 20 years, and it felt like a special moment. To me, it felt like one of those, like, there's not all that often to where you're watching wrestling and you're like, this is a moment I feel like I'll remember till my dying day as a wrestling fan. But watching, like, just the open with, like, Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross and Excalibur, and especially Tony, since he did, like, the sign-off of, like, the last episode of WCW. I was so happy for so many reasons. Tell me about your feelings and your thoughts on it.
I wanted to make sure I watched it when it was airing because I did feel like similarly. I felt like it was special that this shit was going down.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually ended up getting a stream that was not... I don't know how it was aired because there was no commercials, which was kind of weird.
That was probably the fight one, because that's the one that I bought the fight membership, because that's what we have to do in Australia. You pay $5 a month, and then you get every episode live and without commercials, which I thought was cool as fuck.
Yeah, it was dope, but at points I didn't realize they were cutting the commercial because sometimes they didn't necessarily make it so obvious. I was like, it was silent, and I'm like, why aren't these guys saying anything?
Yeah.
That was just my bad. I wasn't paying attention. But I thought it was fucking incredible. I did laugh at one point.
Apparently you can watch it on the TNT app, I was told, being on your coast. If you have the TNT app, if you have that as TNT as part of your cable thing, you can actually watch it live rather than wait for the replay for the West Coast feed.
Ooh, that's feed is probably better too. I'll give that a shot.
Yeah.
But I love the part where Jim Ross and Tony for a while, like a few minutes, not too long, but they started reminiscing about WCW.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the Excalibur cut back in, like actually calling the match that was going on, not referring to what they said at all. It was pretty great. Like, let's get back on track, fellas.
Yeah, and I think that's the magic of that commentary team. That's what I think makes it work. I love them as a team. Like, I think Excalibur is very key to being there to bring it back to the current day and the current product and calling the fucking moves like their actual names and knowing the style and the history of PWG and all that stuff. And then a guy like the history of Tony Schiavone and, like, you know, the voice of JR, perhaps the greatest commentator of all time. And I thought JR did great on this. You know, there's some shows where people have been criticizing JR a little bit, but I couldn't fault him for a single thing on this broadcast, and I think maybe Tony was part of that. I don't know. How do you think it sounded?
Audio-wise, I thought it sounded great. At points in times, it did feel like it definitely did feel kind of not polished, but it's the first fucking show, so that's to be expected. So outside of that, I honestly I really fucking dug it. I thought it was great to open with Cody and Sammy.
Yes.
They're clearly gonna put their rocket up behind Sammy.
Mhm.
I thought he looked ridiculous with the bear fur on. He needs to get rid of that shit immediately.
There's a panda, sir. It's a panda.
Oh, well, yeah, panda bear. It's the worst kind of bear. Can't even fuck to save its own species. The thing sucks. But yeah, the show overall was great, and I loved the opener. It probably
Yeah.
was the best choice.
Yep. I think it was the perfect match to open it with, both because it made Cody come across like a complete fucking superstar in every way, but it also really made it made Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, he looked fucking dope as hell. And honestly, Sammy's really good and super young, so they do have an opportunity, just like MJF,
Yep.
to have a fucking superstar on their hands.
Yep, yeah. I get a big time like Gino Hernandez kind of vibe from Sammy Guevara.
That's a good call. Mhm.
Obviously different work styles over the years, but like in terms of that young, good looking, smarmy dude that you just want to punch in the fucking face, like to me that's Sammy Guevara. MJF, of course, fantastic as well. Probably the greatest promo in wrestling right now. But I wanted to make sure to make special mention of just how big time this felt. Like this felt like you're watching like something significant in terms of the production, the camera work, the crowd, the way it was lit up, the big stage, everything. But the fireworks, I thought it was awesome.
The one thing that I thought was fucking awesome was hang on a second. God damn it, Alicia, he's distracting me. I had a thought, and Alicia asked me to look at a fucking menu. What were you saying a second ago?
Just how big time it looked and how big time it looked and felt.
Oh yeah, there you go. And the room looked full, but some people on the internet they like started posting pictures of like before the show time. They're like 30 minutes before the show, and this what it looks like. I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, you guys, people have to get in and sit down. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. Also,
Sorry, that's
like
exactly what I'm saying.
you know that it's like a sold out show. I mean, scalpers are gonna fucking do what scalpers do. If like scalpers buy some tickets and they can't unload those tickets, that's not on the fucking promotion. That's like on these incompetent scalpers. So if there are empty seats that are bought and paid for, the fuck are you complaining about? I don't get it. I think there were definitely the feeling on Twitter that night of a lot of people that really just wanted to see AEW fail in any way that was possible, or try to criticize anything that was possibly criticizable, to make a great Conanism right there. But I mean, it was vice versa. Yeah. It was vice versa. Like there are a lot of people that criticized NXT for a lot of things that were maybe outside of their control. To give the devil his due, I thought there was some fucking awesome matches when I rewatched some of the stuff of NXT last night. Want to make special mention to that awesome Adam Cole Matt Riddle match. I thought the Pete Dunne match with fucking what's his new name? Danny Burch. Was totally like just an amazing under the 10-minute match, and I really liked Shayna Baszler against
Candice?
Yeah, Candice LeRae. I thought that was fantastic too. Did you watch that show too?
I watched the last half, and yeah, it felt just like another episode of NXT, unfortunately, but still, it's always good. I mean, it's hard to fault good wrestling, but I just felt like AEW came off more special.
100%.
And the Bucks talked about how it's going to be people are going to get burned out on the Full Sail audience and the environment, and I guess the WWE is already trying to make moves to get out of there. So
did you hear what Dave said about that?
What he said? No, I didn't.
He said apparently 70 minutes into the show, he got his first message of someone who works at WWE saying, "We need to get the fuck out of this building."
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, because I was watching, I thought it was really cool. You know, a lot of people who were watching them like switching channels, kind of like watching it like Nitro and Raw back in the day, or having
Hell
like
yeah.
the TVs side by side at like a bar, and they're showing like this one and this one, and like just watching one versus the other, just flipping channels one to the other like that. How it was just glaring how one of them looked like a big time fucking must watch, like show, and the other one was like this small show in front of a couple hundred people, no matter how
Yep.
enthusiastic those fans were. So, but I mean, at the same
Or
time,
how good the rest of it is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
exactly. But I think NXT, if they do go on the road, I think they'll have trouble drawing crowds because, like, right now their shows outside of Florida, like their shows in Florida, do what, like a couple hundred people, and then their ones outside of that do a roundabout. If it's a good house, they'll do like 1,000 people. So probably more on par with like ROH, if anything. So I'm questioning the logic of if they were to take it on the road, of how they would do it at the box office. What do you think?
No, you're probably right. No, you're 100% right. There's been issues. They actually didn't they have a bunch of shows planned that they decided did not run,
Mm-hmm.
and that was probably due to ticket sales, I imagine.
Yep. Yeah, you do hear a lot of WWE cancellations due to lack of ticket sales these days. But I guess they're thinking, you know, they got this show on USA Network for a show that used to just be on the WWE Network, so they're thinking that they'll get a lot more interest and a lot more people wanting to buy tickets because they've got a new audience that was watching it on TV now. But I'm not sure. Be interesting to see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's either take the risk or continue to stagnate. So, I mean, what are they going to do? It'll be fun to see.
I mean, the crowd was, for the small crowd that was there, they were enthusiastic as all fuck, but I don't think they're going to be like that every single week after week. I think we're going to have like,
Yeah, it gets like
Impact Zone after the dude with who used to spin the towel left. I used to love him.
Shout out.
Yeah. Oh, but no, it was an exciting night to be a wrestling fan, and not to be like the cliche of the fans were the winners or blah blah blah. But it was cool. It was a cool time to be like, yeah, I'm glad I'm watching right now. You know,
There is so much wrestling right now, and if you try to take on like MLW and beyond as well, it's
Billy
there's all
Corgan's
the
NWA
content.
studio show.
Oh yeah, what's that called?
Power.
What's the name of it?
Power.
Power. Yeah, they always like those fucking strong ass names, man. I dig it. So he's like talking about the name Dynamite. I'm like, that is a great name. It's
Yeah.
Wednesday Night Dynamite on TNT. How can you not understand?
Flows
how
off
amazing
the
that is?
tongue. It's got a great pun to
Yeah.
it.
And at the end of the day, Raw and SmackDown are both terrible. Like, if you consider it overall, they're not good names. Like SmackDown is Raw's catchphrase, or The Rock's catchphrase, and Raw, okay, it's okay. It's not extremely terrible, but it just says Raw. Like what are we invoking here?
I popped with the
Dynamite,
Raw one
boom.
because what it used to be, you know, you had that
Sit down.
compared to Nitro, and it was the one that felt more raw. It like felt like live and gritty, and it had swearing and
WWE's the most polished thing in the
yeah,
fucking world.
you could not get further from Raw than
What WWE's offering.
it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Overcooked is what they should call it.
Overpolished. WWE overpolished. Monday night live. Oh well. Oh dude, I cannot finish this podcast without putting over my favorite match from AEW on that night. That Riho Nyla Rose match. I thought that was sort of rough at some points, but there was like an emotion to it, and especially going down the finishing stretch where like Rio got the big upset win. Like I thought there was like just a palpable emotion that like you don't see in normal day-to-day wrestling, and I fucking loved it. What did you think about that
I
one?
thought I dug it too, and I actually think the thing you mentioned about the maybe the little hiccups or mistakes actually almost added to it. It showed like how much bigger fucking Nyla was in Rio. She wasn't going to simply be able to manhandle her at all. That was a bad That was poor wording.
Didn't
out.
did JR almost
Cut
did
that
the
out.
same thing and he corrected himself on the telecast. I thought that was awesome.
Cut that out. See, actually, I actually mentioned on the show, I thought Nyla looked great. Her makeup looked tremendous.
Yeah,
Like, I know that's weird to mention, but she looked really pretty.
I thought it's an interesting thing with her in that she's a monster heel, you know.
Actually, pretty. She's better. Alicia looked at me and gave me a goofy face. I guess she missed me saying manhandling about the situation. That was worse, babe. I actually said that on accident. I would cut this whole part out. Cut it all.
This is where we have the technical difficulties music. But no, we know what you meant. We know what you meant. There was no ill will there.
The way you said it, Alicia, was wrong. I didn't say she actually looked great. I said she looked great. I didn't say actually. You threw that in there. We'll play it back. There's audio recording. We'll figure out the whole show is being now me and Alicia arguing. Cut it out. All right, let's continue.
No, I love this, and I was saying I think there's an interesting thing with Nyla in that she's meant to be like the monster heel, but at the same time there's like a conscious effort to make her like feminine and to present her in a feminine, likable way, and where I'm like it's more the likable side of it. Like I don't give a fuck, you know. You can still be like a feminine monster, like that's a thing. But like the idea to where they're trying, like do you see some of those hype videos on like the Road 2 where they had Nyla talking about how the hard life she's had and being a trans woman and all this stuff? It's like if you're a monster, if you're a monster heel, like I don't get the idea of that. It's the same thing they did with like Brandy, where they had that like big build up with like her failed ice skating career and how she'd always lose the big one. You got so much sympathy for her, and then she comes out just as like a total two-dimensional heel on Fyter Fest or whatever it was, where she had Kong come in and cheat and help her out. Like
Like, go both ways with this one, offering sympathy but also making them look like a dickhead.
Yeah, and I know there was a thing like Cody has been quoted as saying is like the wrestling isn't just a two-dimensional black and white thing. We have, you know, complicated characters. It's not necessarily heel face, blah, blah, blah. And I get character depth, but when it like comes to being a confusing way on the fans' part to like, how am I meant to respond here? Am I meant to clap or boo? I don't fucking know what I'm meant to do. That's where I think it can be a bit fucked up.
I do like those clear lines, and at the same time, it's fun to respect all the wrestlers, but it gets overkill when everyone starts chanting both these guys. So I think while we're watching the show, we should be able to choose one side. I think we all understand that you like both wrestlers, and when it all comes down to it, you can clap for them to signify you like everybody. But yeah, there should be clear lines. I like that.
I mean, that's really what wrestling's built on, right?
Yeah. I don't want to be confused who I'm supposed to be hating. Like, it shouldn't be that where the wrestler has to come up and make fun of an autistic kid, so I know he's a bad guy.
Yeah, class all the way.
Yeah.
No, overall, I thought it was a complete home run for AEW though, and I think there's things for them to work on. But fuck, it's first week in, dude. So it's like, what do people expect? Everything's gonna be like it really was more firing on all cylinders than I expected it to be. But there's still little things that I think they can tweak and make a little bit better. Like these
motherfuckers add more content even. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. They even add more content, but now adding another show for all the dark matches.
I was a fan of that though, because I saw one of the dark matches was Darby and Seema. And I'm like, how the fuck did I miss out on Darby and Seema? There better be like a fan cam of this or something that I can find on YouTube later. And then, as really nice guys, they're just releasing it every week on Tuesday nights on YouTube for AEW Dark. So great, and those matches actually count towards the dude's records apparently as well, which I wasn't expecting, but makes sense.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I can't wait till next week's episode, and I just can't tell you how excited I am to be excited, like to finish watching a wrestling television show, and to actually look forward to the next episode. Like
Hell
it's
yeah.
been so long since I've had that fucking feeling while watching wrestling. Probably since like the maybe like
Probably WCW.
yeah yeah.
It honestly is for me. I'm like, the last time I remember like was when a WCW, and you're like, God damn it, why can't it be fucking Friday or fucking Monday again?
What's the NWO gonna do next? This is madness. We have to find out.
Damn it, DDP, get out of there.
Oh no, it's good to be pumped about wrestling, and it feels so weird to be saying that in a way, you know. But it's awesome, and I can't wait till next week's episode. And yeah, man, it's good. I didn't watch SmackDown. Did you?
Yeah, not all of it, but I did watch a fair
I
amount.
mean, this isn't our wheelhouse. I didn't necessarily want to fucking review SmackDown here, but there was one thing that I wanted to ask you your opinion on. I think you may know what it
Yeah.
is.
Bring it.
Kofi dropping the title in like 7 seconds to Brock, and then fucking Cain Velasquez coming out and beating up Brock Lesnar. I saw this on my Facebook feed. I watched the entire title match in a 7-second Facebook video, and then I saw this amazing beatdown, and I was like, you know what? Nothing excites me about WWE at the moment, but I'm actually intrigued by this. But then there was a lot of negative reaction that I saw. It was kind of like the polar opposite of the way I took it on my Twitter feed. So where did you kind of settle on that one?
I'm not going to tweet about it because clearly people are mad, but I love the whole thing because I like wrestling,
Mhm.
and it's all when I'm watching wrestling, I don't think about the way it affects people's careers necessarily. I'm thinking about how entertaining the moment is, and that sometimes it's hot shotting shit. Unfortunately, like all of a sudden Brock has his title and Kane is coming after it, and they're going to Saudi Arabia. I thought the way they booked it was Kofi was dumb and went for a kick that he shouldn't have right out the gate, which is smart. Like for Brock to just fucking grab him and then drop him.
Yeah.
People were mad that Kofi got dropped off after one F5, and Seth was able to eat a bunch of them and then still win. I don't know. I don't feel like it's a total burial. I think Kofi had a pretty good run with the title, right?
Yeah. He got a way longer run than I was expecting him to. And to me, it's almost like that thing in UFC. You can get a flash knockout, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the guy is incompetent as a fighter. He just got fucking caught. I think that kind of stuff can happen, and it should happen from time to time.
Burials.
Yeah.
It's a burial. You buried the guy.
They totally jumped him out. He squashed him.
Shut the fuck up. Enjoy the show, Booker Kid.
Yeah.
Your name is.
Yeah. No, I'm intrigued. I'll say that because I think Kane can be a big time star. He has like a raw kind of like baby face, kind of like from like not a polished baby face, but he's got like some sort of charisma there, to where it's like that kind of
charisma.
Yeah. Soft spoken, badass Mexican Walter.
Personally, I think some people are annoyed that they're presenting Kane as like punch kick guy versus punch kick guy, but I think they're gonna do that, and then he's gonna wow these motherfuckers with some lucha bits,
Oh, hang on. We're back. What
happened?
No. We had the closing out music coming up, so I paused the show. Push that out, and yeah, we're here to finish things up. Sorry, to finish off your thought about punch kick guy versus punch kick guy.
I'm just saying that the people are going to be. I think that what they're doing is setting people up to be shocked, because probably a lot of people don't know that Cain Velasquez, not only is he an MMA guy, he has been training in wrestling and one style of Lucha Libre. So I think they're basically setting up to shock people when he busts that shit out. But unfortunately, I won't be seeing this match because I'm not going to watch anything in Saudi Arabia. So tough titties, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'll probably be the same, unless I'm like last time, where I'm like, I'm not watching anything, but I'm not going to miss out on Undertaker versus fucking Goldberg. like a piece of shit. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I was slightly dubious of like, really? They hit this cool big time angle only for the match to be taking place on this show that a lot of people are not going to watch. I feel like it's a waste.
Fucking annoying.
I don't know. I guess that's where the money's at, right? And then I heard it sounds like Kane hasn't even signed a long-term deal yet, which is very unlike WWE.
And then they had Tyson Fury jump over the fucking rail. Like, what is going on?
Do you think this is Bischoff? You think this is like signs of what Bischoff's like? Oh, we have to change shit up. We can do shit differently. We need stuff that's going to interest people.
Celebrity contracts. Yeah, that. Holy shit, that has Bischoff's handwriting all over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not intrigued, so, yeah.
Oh, agreed.
Interesting. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, let's shut this baby down. What a show we've had, like you said, of several countries, several time zones. Yeah. I'm, to finish off this trip. The one thing I want to say before we
close up is, this show would have dropped on Wednesday, but we were trying to record with John. And then we were trying to record with John last night. And then we put it off today because, John. And then John couldn't record. John, what do you do? You're enjoying life. That's what John's doing, you son of a bitch.
I, for one, I'm happy that John is out there enjoying life, especially the particular manner that he's enjoying life, which we're not going to go into. But I would never be one to say, hey, you should be stopped doing that to record a fucking podcast.
100% agree.
Oh, boy.
All right.
But thank you, John. Thank you, everybody, that we got to meet on this BOLA weekend. And thank you, most of all, to you, my friend, for continuing this ship on.
What's Jon Craft's Twitter handle so we can tell people to go follow him?
I
don't know if he tweets anything interesting. I can't say he does.
I think he probably just shares this show.
J Craft something.
I'm bringing it up. Anyway, you get your plug skis in while I look that up.
All right. It's JCraft901. Got it.
Boom.
I have fingers, motherfucker. My name is Jeremey Tate. You can follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on the Instagram. Both of those things, you can find me at Jaims Vanderbeek. Jaims Vanderbeek. Don't worry, I don't think I'm that guy. It's an old, long story. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. You can follow me at Chris Things on the Twitter, at Chris Things on the Instagram. Also, huge thanks to the great team over at Social Suplex, the Social Suplex Wrestling Podcast Network. All of that at socialsuplex.com, featuring fabulous shows, including Grown Men Watch This Shit, such as One Nation Radio, Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, The All Elite Show, keeping it strong style, a lot of fun stuff, so check it out, and thanks guys. Also us at Grown Men Pod, and yeah, thanks to all of you who listen through this mess week to week. We appreciate it.
Thanks. And get swifty, ladies and germs.
There we go. Done.
Oh, that show. That'll be a long show.